alter the radar here, but this would be the area. There's the Meade County line, so we're looking really right in this zone here. Mooleyville, Derby, that would be one area that we watch, just south of Leopold, Indiana. So there's Leopold right there. So that is going to be the area.
Yeah, I agree. It's holding on, and it's across the Meade County. The line itself very, very soon. We'll watch it. And Kevin, while you've been watching that particular cell in the Breckenridge, notice circulation here on the northeast side of Owensboro. I have yet to see much out of this area yet. Hold on one second. Never mind. I know I'm seeing some reports of a basement wall collapse in Henderson. No injuries in that area, but this is where the storm was rolling out of. This one is really tightening up, and it's heading toward Tell City. So we'll be watching that one carefully. And then the one on the southern side here is the one that came out of Madisonville. It's still holding on, but it does not look to be anywhere where it was in Madisonville as far as a damaging tornado. And then we have the circulation that Kevin's been watching right there on the edge of Breckenridge County. Hold on, my pen kind of messed up. There we go. Right on Breckenridge, Meade County line. There it is, Rockport, heading toward Tell City in southern Indiana. And then we have the other one moving to the southwest, really, of Whitesville once again. So 1, 2, and 3. Those are the three right now that I see that we are monitoring carefully on the Kentucky side of the Ohio. I know you're monitoring Indiana as well, but right now we got our hands full on this side of the river as well. It looks
and
like.
All of those are aiming right toward Louisville. Is the tough part.
Exactly. We don't know how that will all evolve, but you're right. They're all moving into the Harrison County, Meade County flow, and eventually right on the western side of Louisville Metro.
We'll keep an eye on that. Again, a number of areas. This is the one farthest to the north on that string of 3 that Brian just pointed out. This is the one that's going to cross over into Meade County. Let's not forget our friends in southern Indiana. I'm going to go back to the home view so you can understand where we are. Keep my finger there. Here we are in Louisville. We're looking back to the west. String of tornado warnings take us all the way back south of Evansville, and then we're still tracking the one to our north. Let's go northbound. We're going to take you into the storm across southern parts of, well, this will be northern parts of Jackson County, barely. And most of that is scooting out of the county. So the Jackson County tornadoes warning, part of that at least, should be able to expire fairly soon. We'll take a look at the radar view on this. Again, yes, flattening out just a bit, though we still see that push of wind passing by the Elkinsville area toward Beck's Grove. Can't rule out some strong winds, and that would include the Freetown area. But the threat of rotation looks to be diminishing just a bit across parts of Jackson County. So some good news there. Winds are gusting to 40 miles per hour here in Louisville. We have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings stacked up as we work our way down. This is the northern part of our viewing area where you see Jackson County. Hello, Freetown, Brownstown. Seymour, you're not in a thunderstorm warning yet, but you soon will be. You're next in line. So is Dudleytown and Brownstown. Likely some strong wind. We can see some strong wind potential near the Weddellville area. That's going to be pushing in. That's why the severe thunderstorm warning is in place. We go farther to the south. I like to take it county by county, mentioning some of the towns along the way. No warnings across parts of Washington or Orange County at this point. Even into parts of western Clark County, you can see that that storm is moving in. And you do have the severe thunderstorm warning, but no tornado warnings at this point for any of those communities across Washington, Orange, down into Harrison County. However, as we get a little closer to the river, you start to see the tornado warnings pop again. And this is that one storm that we talked about, not far from Freimeyer, very close to the river. That's rotation that we've been watching. Brian went through these 3 storms. That's one. Another one is not far from Masonville. You see that area of strong wind there. New tornado warning near the Rockport area. That is one also that we were watching. So we've got 2. And then the third one goes back closer to the Owensboro area as we look back across West Kentucky. Brian, these are all lined up. They're all moving to the northeast at a pretty good clip, probably on the order of 50 to 60 miles per hour moving our way.
Yeah, it depends on which ones are cells and which one are part of the line. They're kind of moving at different speeds there. But you're right. One other way that I'm watching these 3 at the moment on the Kentucky side is watching the lightning count. And there's been a noticeable increase in the one that's in Rockport heading toward Tell City.
We've got a tour coming for Washington, Harrison, Scott, and Moore. They just put in Moore. So this is going to encompass a large area.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go. Okay. So that would include more than likely The rest of this one is moving out of Frymire area, near Frymire, that Kevin's been tracking, that's on the Ohio River. That sounds like that's what they're going to do. We'll see. But look at the wiggles there in Indiana, Kevin. That line, we're getting notches here that are forming near Medora and all the way down here around Salem. So this is not a good spot to kind of be in. You got to kind of watch these little wiggles as this line moves through. There's the severe thunderstorm warning for Jackson and Jennings that came up a few moments ago in that area. We'll be watching that. We'll wait and see what tornado warning is going to be issued here soon. You can see the circulations, though, around again the northern side of
tornado
Meade
warning
County.
now just coming out there.
Okay.
Yeah. Just click on the top of that and we'll read through this warning that's coming out. And that tornado warning is going to include Clark, Floyd, so parts of the metro now in this. As Brian's pointed out, that is the storm moving in our direction. Well, no, that's a different one. So that's for a different reason. Yeah, that's for the exactly.
This is the wiggles in the line that are showing up some notches that are forming around Salem. Right over in Salem. So if you're in Salem, Scottsburg, Indiana, you need to get into your safe spot, lowest level basement, get away from the exterior walls, get into a bathroom or a hall closet. That's what you need to prepare for. And again, we got to watch it's just little notches that are forming. Watch how this line moves in right there as it moves right into the Salem area, Palmyra, Indiana. That's where we need to watch for a quick circulation could develop. And the lightning has really increased too with these cells moving through. So this is heading right into I-65, northern and Clark County, eventually into Scott. This whole area is where that storm is heading into. This warning is set to expire at 45 minutes after the hour.
We still have a little bit of time, so those folks still have time to prepare. We obviously are keeping an eye on our crews that are out and about, and as it's safe to do so, we'll get in position to show you whatever may be unfolding. When we look again at the complete picture of what we have going on, there are a number, let me just leave that up and I'll put the radar. We have a number of tornado warnings. This one just now moving out of the viewing area for northern parts of Jackson County. Then you get to that larger tornado warning that includes parts of Washington, almost all of Scott, northern half of Clark, parts of Floyd, parts of northern Harrison County. That again is because of that erratic shape on the front end of that, where we do see some rotation. Hard to pick out defined spots where there could be a tornado, but that's why they said, hey, we're just going to pop this polygon that's pretty large, put it in there. Could be a tornado at any point on that line. And then we get to the ones that show a little bit more of the rotation as we go down that line from anywhere from Meade County, northern Breckinridge County, southern Perry County, southern Harrison County, all the way down south of Owensboro. So that is what we're looking at. When I show you the radar, you'll notice here in Louisville, our rain is picking up, but we're still a little bit away as this system pushes the strongest of the winds into the downtown corridor. So we're looking at 43-mile-per-hour winds now. We have seen strong winds in places. Obviously, that's taking down trees and power lines for some, and that means power outages for some. Let's go over to Ryan Hoke.
All right, I want to focus on Breckinridge County. You know, we were concerned about that circulation, the first of which moving through there earlier. Just got off the phone with Nathan at the fire department. He's been listening to dispatch. So far, no damage reports in Breckinridge County yet. Now, here's the deal. They have about 4% of Breckinridge County without power right now. That's 603 customers. So likely those damage reports are going to slowly move in here over the next couple of hours here, and especially tomorrow morning as daylight hits. So, guys, we're continuing to monitor all of our partners in emergency management to see exactly what has happened as these circulations, pass through these counties there, Kevin.
All right, we're watching the storms move in. Obviously, we have SkyTrack cameras in the line of these storms, so you'll see one of those behind me. In fact, the one you're seeing behind me, we have Corridon, then the storm tracker. I want to take the full SkyTrack camera. This is Huber's Orchard Winery, Starlight, Indiana. The lightning intense there, in addition to the wind jogging that camera around. We'll be seeing that rain pick up as this storm moves into western parts of Clark County. So as soon as we can, Brian, you can
it's punched up.
Talk along with us here. But I think the control room just has to pop it in. It'll take a second, but we'll get that put in. As that happens, we see additional severe thunderstorm warnings coming out to our north, and they're just updating the ones that were across parts of Jackson County. So there's Starlight, Indiana, lots of lightning. Huber's Orchard Winery with the rain falling. Notice the camera swaying. That's one of the more sturdy cameras, too. It's affixed to a large pole there on the shop. But boy, we've got some decent wind moving into Clark County. So this is the edge of that tornado warning that we talked about that comes into southern Indiana. Back to the radar. I'm going to point out, and we're going to go down this line, look at some of the embedded velocities. As we do that, we'll be pointing out some communities. So follow along with us here as we zoom in and then sort of manipulate. I'm going to let this in northern Jackson County continue to lift to the north. Assume that everybody along this line is under a severe thunderstorm warning. That's enough to take shelter on if you're under the warning. But let's look at the tornado warnings and where we have the strongest of the winds. Here we are zooming into Salem. Heavy rain pushing through Pierce, Martinsburg, Borden, Starlight, Gibson, Daisy Hill. All familiar places to us. Some have had tornadoes in the past. I'm going to put on the velocity where you can see some of the stronger winds moving through. And again, it's tough to pick out the couplet of where you would have that one particular location of rotation. You can't pick that out. It's why it's a little jagged on the edge where we see that there could be that rotation. And Brian, as we analyze this, you see we're zoomed into Washington County, the almost all of Scott County, and western Clark County, which includes Henryville and Borden. There is no real particular place. Maybe near Beck's Mill where we would have a little rotation in Salem, but the winds are strong regardless. Yeah,
about 70 is the estimate right now on radar. So yeah, the very, very strong winds. So you don't need a tornado to get trees knocked down, power outages. So it can still cause problems and damage your rice. So stay in your safe spot in that area into Washington County, northern Clark, and certainly Scott County, Indiana, Scottsburg, Austin. Just stay in your safe spot there along I-65. You know anyone that's about to travel on the interstate, anywhere up and down 65 in Indiana, and eventually we'll be saying the same thing about Kentucky here soon. But make sure to stay off the interstate systems here and I-64 as well as these storms roll through. That circulation, by the way, in Kevin is now crossing the river into Harrison County that we've been tracking, moving across Breckenridge and Meade. It has become more absorbed into the Boeing segment that was moving out of Perry County, so it's not as well defined anymore. Still some strong winds there, but I don't see as much of a defined circulation that we had there for a while as it was moving out of Breckenridge.
Yeah, and you can still see that push of wind even
got
with
that structure to it there. But certainly at the moment anyway, I think they may let that go because it's out of the warning just about. So we'll monitor that and see if there's any extension.
All right. So if it were to be moving through New Amsterdam, Dogwood, Heth would be in that path right north into southern Harrison County of that storm as it moves through northern Meade County. At this point, we still have a number of tornado warnings that are lined up. You can see that view moving through our viewing area along with severe thunderstorm warnings. There's a better view of that all the way up into northern and northwestern parts of Ohio, down through central Indiana, southern Indiana, and for us. So warnings continue across the entire area. The warning continues even for Breckenridge and Perry County, the one behind the one we were talking about, moving northeast at 60 miles per hour. What an active day it's been with this moderate risk of severe weather. The high risk has been back out to our west. On the big board, this gives you an idea of some of the warnings that we have in place. The longest one still intact is the severe thunderstorm warning that includes a tremendous number of counties, both in Kentucky and Indiana. That goes for another 35 minutes. The tornado warning, 19 more minutes on this for Clark, Floyd, Harrison, Scott, and Washington. That's the one in Indiana, obviously. The one in Jackson County has been allowed to expire, so that one's gone. Perry and Breckenridge, they're going to continue that one for another 19 minutes. So that's a list of the warnings that we have in terms of tornadoes. A number of other communities are under severe thunderstorm warnings. Brian?
All right, you're right. That's the coverage on the warning side. We'll watch and see how this mess here in Tell City. This is not becoming as defined as what it was earlier. It looks like now with that one circulation still showing up. You see the flashing polygon there. That's just outside of outside of Perry County, not too far away from Tell City. We'll be watching that, but also watch right there. See that concentration of lightning right along portions there near the Ohio River, just south of Tell City. I'm watching that carefully around Patesville. That little notch is blowing out. Not only could it have strong straight line winds, but there could be a circulation that could develop out of this, especially with that concentration of lightning showing up as it moves right into the southern portions there of Perry County.
Yeah, real quick here, Brian. The tornado tornado sirens are going off in Clarksville, according to Rebecca there on Facebook. I just wanted to point out Clarksville is not under a tornado warning at this time. Now, part of Clark County is just to your north, just north of Charlestown. So the tornado sirens may be going off in your area, but remember, these warnings encompass parts of counties, not entire counties. So keep that in mind when you hear those sirens. It's time to watch Wave Weather Now and Wave News to see where exactly that warning may be. And of course, the radar and the Wave Weather app, guys, great resource to figure out if that warning encompasses you or not, Kev.
If you have that radar on the Wave Weather app, there is a setting at the bottom that says past and future. Make sure that is set to the past.
Absolutely.
So you want it may sound odd, but if you have the future radar on, the radar is going to appear as though it's out of date or the time is off. So just make sure it says past on the bottom and you get the real-time radar information, just like we're looking at here.
Sorry, Kevin.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to switch the camera to cord in here because
I'm going to put this on while you talk about it.
Okay, the wind field is starting to pick up here. Okay, the tornado warning's out. I'm not sure if this is for the cell that's moving out of Tell City or there's some companies all the way to the other side of the line. I'll try to get clarification on that. The wind field is ramping up a bit there over New Amsterdam. So I'm watching it. As you saw earlier, it still had that structure to it of that cell moving into Harrison County. So I'm not sure you have the warnings for that particular cell still or not. But for those of you in Corden, just know around Dogwood and Corden, I'm going to be watching that carefully as that kind of moves off to the east there, Kevin.
It's moving to the east and northeast at 70 miles an hour, by the way. So it's really booking it. You'll notice that storm continues to push through Crawford, Hancock, Harrison, and Perry. That is the storm that we were watching. It's right on that edge. It's the one we really had our focus on. That one is radar indicated. Cannleton, Tell City, and Troy are in the path of that storm as it lifts to the north and east. So that's a new tornado warning out of the tornado warnings that we mentioned, and you see the other one being sort of redrawn, but this is the one we were just focused in on, and then this is the one to our north, just north of the Louisville metro area. Let me go back into those. I'm going to zoom in. We're going to work our way back down this line as we often do, where we can not only zoom in and show reflectivity, heavy rain, the lightning, the wind. I can show you the wind based on the velocity. We go into our base velocity here, pop on the storm relative, and you're going to see in this line we have a number of areas of wiggles, if you will, and that is where we have the ability to see tornadoes develop.
We're very concerned about New Washington, Indiana right now.
Yeah. So when we talk about New Washington, again, you're looking over
I'm sorry, South Boston. I'm sorry about that. I said the wrong way. That was South Boston.
South Boston.
Yeah.
Okay, so New Washington is a little bit a ways from that storm, though it is moving in that direction. You see Scott County. Everybody in Scott County should be prepared. When you look back out to the west, you can see, again, it's going to be in this general area. Let me zoom in even more on this so you can see that zone that we're looking at. This would be, again, not far from New Liberty as we continue to see that. There's South Boston that shows up on the maps along 160. So that is the area of strongest wind and possible rotation showing up near South Boston right along that zone. So that is why, again, new scan coming in, just passing South Boston, still on 160.
Debris on radar northeast of New Pekin.
All right, here's New Liberty. Let me go back. Let's get New Pekin on. Again, we'll center up the radar. And this was possible. There's Daisy Hill. Here's New Pekin. So that's the same storm we're looking at. New tornado warning coming out. This is going to be a little bit farther to the south. Let me get to that, and then we'll come back to this one that's developing. So we've got a lot taking place.
Another one issue now for Clarksville area, Clarksville, Indiana. So right, you're now in the tornado warning zone all the way to right into Floyd County, Floyd's Knobs, and into southern Harrison County. And it's for that circulation, Kevin, the same one that
we've been
damaged a trampoline in northern Breckenridge County and Cloverport area. That now right over Corden. Let me punch up. Here's the SkyTrack camera. Let's take that. This is in Corden live right now, and we show what it looks like. And that circulation is very close to where this camera is here right now into Harrison County. Guys, just let me know when you have that. Again, we're watching. That's the one. If it holds together and tracks through Corydon that will eventually move right into Floyd County, southern Floyd, and into the southern Knobs area. Again, so that's just now recently developing. All right, there it is again. That's the live feed in Corydon right now. A little bit choppy, as you might imagine. I'm sure the signal's kind of going in and out, but we'll be monitoring this. For those of you in Corydon, if you are in even around New Albany, Floyd's Knobs area, now's the time to take action. Get into your safe spot, interior room, basement, lowest level. Stay away from windows. If you have a moment, put on your shoes just in case you get anything that broke through the storm itself. As far as glass in your home or anything like that, you'll be walking around barefoot. So just kind of a heads up on that as it moves on the northern, very far northern edge there of the northern metro there, Kevin.
Lots of sirens going off at this point. Get in your tornado safe place. We'll keep the 4 boxes up here so you can see the lightning going on behind me in Corydon. The storm tracker is out in a safe location, and Brian is tracking some of the storms that are just coming into the Louisville metro. The latest warning is for Clark, Floyd, and Harrison. It's the one we were just looking at. That one will be approaching some areas of the metro within the next 10 to 20 minutes. Our wind gust in Louisville still at 43. We look back to the north. We were tracking that storm north of New Pekin. It's this area here right along 160. That's taking it near New Liberty. So that's another area of concern that we're watching as this storm moves across and eventually very close to Clark County. So we get Clark up into Scott County. It's going to be right at that junction where we see that, not far from New Liberty. All right, so we wind up going back to the home view. There are several places along this line that we're watching. The one I pointed out was one. The other one that's showing signs of intensifying just a bit is coming into again, the Corydon area. You can see that showing up very bright on the radar just south of Corydon. Again, heavy rain is falling. You're looking at the camera there. That is the live view from Corydon. So our camera sits on top of the library there, and we're watching live views. You can see the trees swaying, the lightning starting to pick up. So we've got our eyes on you, Corydon, as well as all of Harrison County. Not only do we, but your emergency managers and sheriff's departments do as well. We're working hand in hand with those folks, letting them know what we're hearing, and certainly at this point getting information from them. New Middletown, small community, a lot of pleasant people there. We've got this storm approaching just north of you. Lanesville, big Heritage Fest time, not too far away, right? Well, that storm's coming toward you, so you should be in your tornado safe place. Let's go over to Ryan Hoke as we track this storm, get any information we may have out of any of these storms we have along the area.
Okay, Washington County, powers out in Salem, debris from high winds in the roadway, Main Street in Mulberry. You can see the debris on radar northwest of New Liberty. This has been persistent on the radar for about 4 scans now. We are well north and east of New Pekin. This is now moving into Scott County, Kevin. So this is likely a tornado in progress, now moving into Scott County, Indiana.
That was that storm we've been tracking, saying you've got to pay attention to that storm. That's to the north. Again, just to get your bearings, we got Jackson County. You move over into Jennings. South of that is Scott County. Let's zoom in and let's go through the warnings that we have. Again, we point out on that northernmost warning, I'm going to encompass several in this view. Scott County here, you'll see the towns pop in. There's Vienna, Austin, and Scottsburg. I'm going to zoom in because we said it was right near New Liberty. That's where we would have it. When we look at the velocity, you're going to be able to see the pocket of wind, and I can put on additional velocity to help us better see that perhaps if it's still available. And you can see it not far from the Leota area. But when we look at the debris signature, that's what Ryan was just showing us. Not a ton showing up on the latest scan. Let's pan this up, see if we're missing it to the south.
It has lifted a little bit
so
on
it's
the latest scan.
Lifted a little bit on the latest scan. We don't see it. That's good news on the latest scan. Still seeing 43-mile-per-hour winds here in Louisville. We'll go back to the velocity view, make our way back down this line into southern Indiana as we continue to track storms that are moving in. You can see the storm tracker is on the move. So we are working to see if there's any type of damage, power outages perhaps that may be out across the area. Pocket of wind coming across 65 south of Memphis. That's not far from Perry Crossing and Sellersburg. We're into the metro area. This is southern Clark County. This is Floyd County. There's New Albany, all under tornado warnings just north of downtown Louisville. While we're not under the warnings at this point, they're getting close. Still, the tightest rotation that we have is near Corydon, just north of New Middletown. Brian?
All right, let me show you a couple of our cameras here I'm monitoring. I'll take you first into Starlight, Indiana. I'll take you to Huber's Orchard and Winery. Let's go there as we're tracking that cell that's now moving across areas of Floyd County and Clark County. This should be a live look there. You can see the sheets of rain falling in front of the barns there at Huber's Orchard and Winery. Very intense winds flowing through there. Again, no reports of damage yet in that region, but we'll be watching that carefully. And then obviously as we head into Corydon, Indiana, that is where we have the other cell that we're watching right now that has the tornado warning with it that is moving right into Corydon. Doesn't look as wild as it did even just a few moments ago. Still a lot of lightning taking place. So what about that cell? Where is it going next? Well, here are the times on this. If it were to hold together and move in its current path, the track on this storm as it moves out of Corydon, heading to the northeast. Here are the times here on the radar. We'll show you what, if this holds together over the next 20 minutes or so, you can expect it to move into, say, Georgetown at about 48 minutes after the hour, Shawnee at about 51 minutes, and it may clip into the northern side of the Louisville Metro at about 54 minutes after the hour there, Kevin.
All right. Again, nice to see that from that view, things are calming down a bit. You can see that cone of probability behind Brian that shows the arrival time of those storms that he just mentioned. Our view is on the velocity here as we're tracking that just south of Corydon. That's why things have calmed. The greatest wind potential is now north of New Middletown, moving toward Lanesville. This is going to track it right across central parts of Floyd County. Could even get close to New Albany. We'll see. It's likely going to be just north of New Albany. And so Lanesville and Georgetown, prepare for strong winds. You are in the tornado warning. You should be in your tornado safe place. This is still storm showing the rotation. New severe thunderstorm warning coming out from the National Weather Service here in Louisville. Again, you can see that flashing polygon that we have. This new warning that we have from the Weather Service, there you see it, comes out for parts of Jackson and Jennings County farther to the north. So with that, we'll wind up seeing storms continue from the northern part of the viewing area all the way down to the south. Whether you're under severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings all along that line, we have warnings built in for just about every community, it seems. At this point, we have had damage coming in just a handful of places. The latest warning, again, for parts of Clark County, Harrison, Jefferson, and Scott. That's in Indiana. In Louisville, it also includes Jefferson, Oldham, and Trimble counties. So that's a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for Metro Louisville and areas just to our north. And we have a tornado reported on the ground. This is at State Road 160 in Garrison Hollow South. That's South Boston. Let's go there. As we zoom in, we're going to take you into that Scott County storm. It's going to be not far from here. We mentioned
that debris is showing up just west of Vienna now, crossing I-65.
All right, so this was the storm we've been tracking through the evening. Again, Vienna, New Liberty, just north of Henryville. When we look at the velocity on this, you're going to be able to see some of that rotation, not too far from that core. Again, just to get your bearings, there's Scottsburg, Underwood, Henryville, New Liberty. Again, this area has seen a number of rounds of severe weather. When we look at that debris potential, let me zoom back again. Keep getting the button there to take our draw off. Let's go back up as we pan down and pan around this radar view. We're focused in not far from New Philadelphia. There's Austin, Scottsburg. Farther to the south, you get Daisy Hill. Again, pushing through. This is a tornado that's on the ground, as we mentioned, near State Road 160. We've been pointing that out a number of times throughout the day. Brian, I see you are also looking at another tight couplet just west of the city.
Yeah, in fact, the National Weather Service has gone with a severe thunderstorm warning. It's probably triggered a lens alert for a lot of your phones right now if you're in the Louisville area. This includes Louisville, downtown, Prospect, St. Matthews, all the way into Oldham County. They got this listed as a tour possible with this as we're watching that cell that's moving out of Floyd County here before long, actually moving into Floyd, and eventually will roll out into the rest of the northern metro. So we'll be watching Clark County carefully as this evolves over the next 30 minutes. Still very much a circulation here and strong wind fields showing up, and no reports of damage yet. We're monitoring that. You got something showing up there, Ryan?
Yeah, I just want to show you where this debris is. It's east of Vienna now, heading right toward Lexington. It's this little spot right here. It has been persistent, and it matches up exactly with that tornado reported in southeast parts of Washington County. You can see the new update there, lifting it a bit. But boy, this thing's been kind of bouncing up and down, likely making multiple touchdowns throughout parts of Washington and Scott County, guys. So we'll continue to watch the debris field on that.
Yeah, we had that confirmed near Leota, now again near South Boston. That was that same storm that's up into Scott County, so it's moving out of Washington into Scott, and then all the way back down through that that area. There's Vienna that you see on the map. So again, from the Salem area right across into parts of Scott County. And when we look at the debris tracker, and then I can switch this over to what will be the velocity and eventually the radar, just so we can see the reflectivity. You can sort of see, again, from Scottsburg to Underwood, Blotcher to Lexington, still some very strong winds pushing through that area as well. When we go back to the south and look around, you're going to notice on the velocities that we've been showing that we still are tracking what could be multiple tornadoes on the ground. It's tough to know based on the radar view. So that's why the South Boston power lines are down in Farabee Road. That's not far from the Pekin area. So if you're familiar with that general area that we've been talking about, there's Vienna, there's Leota. That's the system that we're watching move right along 356, Indiana 356 up towards Scottsburg. That would be the general zone as we track that off to the east toward Lexington, as Ryan pointed out. And then additional strong winds with possible tornadoes are, not out of the question with any of these farther to the south in northern parts of Harrison County and western Floyd County. And Brian's keeping a close eye on that, not far from Lanesville.
Yeah, right over Lanesville. In fact, that's where they were watching the strong wind fields right now that are tracking into the southern part of Floyd County. We're watching the camera carefully. This is what it looks like in New Albany. You can't see, or here you go, you can see right below me. This flag's there. We'll be watching that camera view carefully as it gets closer. I'm also watching into Breckenridge County, where we also have a very strong Boeing segment that is developing around Hardinsburg. I've been watching the wind speeds. I have not seen anything skyrocket yet on the Kentucky Mesonet, but I am watching that carefully for those into Breckenridge County. But as a very strong push of wind moving into an area that is relatively rural, so it will take some time likely to get any damage reports if anything's happening. But a heads up, Brandenburg, this is heading right into Meade County. You have a tornado warning out already covering the storm, but it's heading your way, and if it keeps going, it eventually will move into northern Hardin County, western Bullitt, and southwest parts of the Louisville Metro. They're almost parallel to each other, Kevin, of a 1-2 punch as far as along the river there.
Well, we continue to track these storms. The tornado warnings that have been out continue, and that just simply means that the National Weather Service says that tornado warning for Clark, Floyd, and Harrison over in Indiana that we've been watching is still in place. So that's going to include the Jeffersonville area. Brian mentioned earlier a number of sirens likely going off. That's certainly true, especially across parts of the metro where the tornado warnings have been issued. Other warnings will likely come in, as Brian mentioned, as we go to our home view. Those storms that sit back out to the west of us still are moving in our direction. So while all of Jefferson County may have not been impacted yet, seeing that Boeing segment across Breckenridge County, tracking that to the northeast would bring that into Jefferson County within the next half hour or so. You see flashing the tornado warning just to our north. That is still in place. This tornado was 7 miles northwest of St. Denis, moving northeast at 60 miles per hour. So again, let me zoom into this. This is the current tornado warning that we have, not far from the Lanesville area.
Okay,
Brian,
I don't like the look of this at all, Kevin, into Lanesville here. This is getting better organized.
Yeah, and I was just getting ready to adjust the radar. Lots of lightning. You can see that core of that lightning increasing too in that area that you're watching.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually getting a much more of a structure to it. Supporting some very strong winds here and starting to blend right into the Louisville Metro, the northwest side here of downtown. So I'm monitoring our camera. Let me get that adjusted for you guys.
This would affect places like Parkland and Portland in particular.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right there, we're just west of I-65 in downtown Louisville. I'll punch up. This is going to be the SkyTrack into top of the waterfront plaza. This is going to be looking toward that area that we're looking at here, crossing into Floyd County, heading right very close to New Albany. So I'll be watching the New Albany camera and the one in downtown. This is what it looks like from Louisville right now. Again, top of the waterfront plaza. Let me go back to New Albany. This is what it looks like there on their camera. And to New Albany at the moment, you can see it fairly quiet on the wind at the moment. A lot of lightning, getting a lot of attention, I'm sure. We'll watch it carefully, Kevin, as it gets very close to the camera here in the next, I would say, 10 minutes.
I've zoomed in. I want to point out just some of the roads that we're watching, just in case this were to make a touchdown. I'm going to zoom back out and just bear with me as we roll through some of these roads. We're right along 64. We're not far from Lanesville. We're watching places like Lazy Creek Road, moving up toward Georgetown County Line Road, moving over toward Waltz, Brookstone, pushing back. We've got Legacy Springs Boulevard, Corridon Ridge Road, Forged Way, Innovation Parkway. That takes us toward Duncan and Edwardsville, all part of this general area, including West Ridge Forest Court. So those are just a few places. We're zoomed in very tight across parts of central Floyd County. I'm going to zoom back out and then we'll go back in just a little bit tighter. Let's get our bearings once again to point out that a number of tornado warnings are in place. New severe thunderstorm warnings being sort of firmed up to indicate what we're watching, meaning that Boeing segment. Tornado warnings spreading right toward the metro, so be prepared. This is your standby. You know, alert days come out way in advance to say you're going to have to pay attention. Well, consider this an alert for what's likely to come, and that's a tornado warning for the city of Louisville with some very strong winds possibly moving in. It's looking more and more likely as we're tracking this Boeing segment and the potential for the rotation to move closer to Jefferson County. It would happen within the next 15 to 30 minutes. Those are the warnings that we currently have sitting on the map now. We continue the tornado warning that you see flashing. That's for parts of Harrison County, Breckenridge, and Meade in Kentucky. That warning in place until midnight. So we've got another 10 minutes left on that warning. This is not too far, about 10 miles southwest of Brandenburg. It's moving at 75 miles an hour. So you don't have a lot of time, but these storms, again, moving in. New tornado warnings coming out farther to the south and west of the viewing area. Let's go in a little tighter so you can see those storms. We've mentioned a number of locations, and we're going to keep doing that as these storms move into the metro. We'll start with that pocket of wind just off to the north of Louisville. Here we are in downtown. Lots of thunder, heavy rain falling here in the city. We work our way just across the river. You'll notice this pocket of wind pushing across central parts of Floyd County. That's right along Interstate 64. It's not too far from the New Albany area. It's past Lanesville, moving through Georgetown, New Albany next in line. This storm also has the potential for some massive wind as it moves in. Our gust in Louisville still at 43. I'm going to go down that line just a bit more as we pan down. You'll notice again, from the radar view, we have a lot of heavy rain falling. At some point, would not be surprised to see some flash flood warnings issued for parts of the area. At this point, it's all about the severe and the potential for those very strong winds moving through. Let's take our radar and move it down. We'll get back again. We're not, again, ignoring what's happening in Floyd County. That's tight rotation that we see with possible severe weather. Obviously, could be happening. Strong winds, pockets of strong winds not far from Andyville. Let's go over to Ryan Hoke.
Okay, real quick. Wave Storm Tracker is positioned right now off Veteran Parkway in Clarksville. The Storm Tracker is going to have a front row seat to this circulation as it passes just north of there. We've kept the Storm Tracker just south of that for safety, but we've currently got that video source up, and we'll be able to monitor and see if there's anything that the lightning flashes can illuminate there in the sky. And, of course, it's raining heavily down there in Clarksville right now, Kev.
Yeah, you notice a lot of the truckers probably getting off the road, also going to let these storms pass with these very strong winds and that potential, a wise thing to do. We're going to go back to our home view, tracking, again, multiple tornado warnings that are stacked up that will be moving closer to us here in Louisville. There's one back across southern Indiana and another one back across extreme northern Kentucky. Both of those are pushing closer to us. Again, we're seeing strong wind. This little Boeing segment that's past Irvington, haven't had a lot of data coming in or reports, but it's late at night. Some areas, you just don't get those reports fast enough in the rural areas. Brian mentioned that a second ago. To our home view, again, to give the scope of what's happening, we have 3 tornado warnings in our viewing area. One sits just north of the metro. The other 2 are just out to the west. The 2 out to the west will pose an issue or a problem as these storms race to the northeast at 75 miles an hour, potentially bringing damaging winds or the threat of a tornado to the Louisville area. Brian, what are you watching?
I'm just watching it looks like a cycling kind of going on here as that cell's kind of still spinning around. You get little brief circulations with it that's trying to form into very close to New Albany into Floyd County. Now, again, there's no tornado on the ground. There's no
transformers blowing State Street in New Albany per a Facebook comment just now.
Okay.
We have cameras in New Albany, and that's what we're watching on
that's
our
what we're watching right now, looking toward the YMCA. So we'll be watching or aimed right into that area. Where the storm is approaching here. Eventually, it's going to be on the other side of the camera. I'll try to follow it here as it moves along, but at the moment, I haven't seen anything yet. But that circulation kind of getting reorganized there. Anytime you hear transformers blow, it's never a good sign, whether it's a strong downburst when it's happening or even a circulation. But if you look carefully in the distance there, Kevin, you could barely even see beyond that tree line there. It is raining so hard in the distance.
Yeah, super heavy rain. Again, the tornado warning continues for Floyd County. New Albany, please. If you can hear my voice, make sure you are in your tornado safe place. This tornado warning is for New Albany, so it's not just for the outlying areas. This includes downtown New Albany. Let me zoom in, and we'll just take a real close-up view.
I think we lost the camera, by the way.
Oh, did we lose it?
Yeah.
All right, so we've lost power at the camera site, so we'll see if that comes back on, but most likely power is now going out in New Albany. It looks like it may have come back.
Okay.
So I see it there. You see, you're watching New Albany. This is our New Albany SkyTrack camera. You're looking at that dome that you're seeing is the YMCA. And again, in and out of power outages. We rely on internet service for those as well. So it's going to be a hit and miss. Back to the radar we go with this tight rotation showing up.
Let's go to SkyTrack camera. Let's go back to that feed real quick. I'm going to take a look here in downtown. I'll need your all's help. I'm looking at this here. This is looking from top of the Waterfront Plaza, looking toward New Albany right now. I could definitely see a shelf cloud, looks like in the distance there, but at the same time, there is what we call the rain-free base zone that is showing up. So just kind of, we'll kind of monitor that feed there. That is looking toward the direction there of New Albany.
Yeah, tough to tell. That's why nighttime storms are just tough because you rely on the lightning to illuminate some of those features. All right, to the radar we go. We have, again, the rotation showing up just north of New Albany. Let's dive in and give some specific areas of concern that you may need to know. I'm really going to zoom in tight for us here as we look at New Albany. Again, this warning continues if you are downtown New Albany, Grant Line Road, moving toward Charlestown Road, Blackenston Mill. That is an area of concern as this moves through. I'm going to zoom this out. I tell you, Brian, let's go to your radar. I'm going to see if we can't get a phoner set up for folks in New Albany, just get a real-time view of what's coming.
Tracker says that the transformers are blowing on the storm tracker now, too.
Well, do we have a camera on the storm tracker? Can we see them?
Let's get the storm tracker up if we can here.
It may take a second to get them. Okay, there
we go.
All right, they're going to go scan and see. Referring to a lot of the blue sky, which is something, it does tend to stand out if you're used to seeing transformers blow in the distance. The way it kind of flickers and hesitates when they blow, it's got that blue look to it, which is different than the lightning strikes you may notice. That's usually a sign of transformers blowing. Doesn't, again, always mean that there is a tornado, but it is certainly a sign that there's very strong winds, obviously, make it to the ground level, and it gets your attention right away. So we'll be watching that. So you can see the winds ramping up right now where he's at. And in fact, that just changed in the past 10 seconds. So it's really ramping. Those sheets of rain just coming right at him. So we'll be watching it. Storm Tracker, we're going to be watching you as well. So please be careful if you see anything too alarming there. Make sure you're in a spot where you can get to safety there. We'll be watching that because that is absolutely pouring.
That rain is
it wasn't even doing that 10 seconds ago.
The strongest rotation, Blackenston Mill to New Albany over toward Clarksville. We can really see that. Let me center up my radar view because the worst has gone past this area. It is moving fast, so it's tough to keep up with as we track this past the area. But again, these pockets of wind, River Falls Mall area coming up on 65. And you can see right over Cementville. This would be the zone right through Chapel Lane as this storm continues to pass by, moving over Hamburg Pike, the YMCA, and areas back up toward Limestone Trace. So those are areas where Cementville is, that this storm is moving across. Those are some of the roads that you need to know as these storms pass by. And Brian, we're looking at the storm tracker. We're looking at the SkyTrack cameras, all indicating, well, we're losing power. I know off of Green Valley.
Tornado warning's been reissued for Louisville now to account for this as well. Let me kind of get a bearing on this.
This is a different warning. So this sits just south. This is that system, that little Boeing area segment, coming out of Brandenburg.
You're right. Yeah, that tornado warning is set to expire at 12:30. So now the sirens have been activated into Louisville.
All of our emergency alerts going off. Coming up on the midnight hour, if you are in the warning and you have mobile devices, you're likely getting the alerts just as all of ours are going off here in the studio. If you're watching us, parts of Bullitt, Harrison, Jefferson, and Meade counties. This includes all of the city of Louisville. We have a band of wind moving in that has potential rotation. So that is the reason for the tornado warning. This will include almost all of Jefferson County, northern Bullitt County. Muldrow is in that. Shepherdsville is in that. Valley Station, Fairdale, Okolona, moving over toward PRP, downtown Louisville, the Highlands, and approaching J-Town, though J-Town not technically in that warning. That is another warning that we've been watching. The other one has strong winds moving across southern Indiana, passing through Cementville, where we know we have power outages and power flashes going on. Green Valley Road, for instance, I know, without power. Brian, are you seeing any other damage reports coming in, power outages?
Yes, and Brian, it may have a better handle on some of some social. I haven't a chance to look yet. I'll give him a moment because I know he's juggling a lot over there. But we're watching that cell, and obviously we'll see how this Boeing segment, because this has been a relatively quiet zone here, Kevin, as we knew it would be, that's approaching Louisville. That's where the danger comes in for the way Louisville's positioned, is we're kind of a spot we don't get reports till the very last moment when these cells move through. So we don't have a lot to go with here other than the radar indicating that there easily could be very strong winds and a circulation that can develop. So that's the reason why the alarms are going off.
I just got 20 comments here about tornado sirens now going off. So all firing, all pistons here for this Louisville tornado.
So I'm sure a lot of you right now are watching, very worried, and anytime you hear that sound, I know it's scary. Right now, there's no confirmation of a tornado that we've had anywhere yet in our viewing area, but we have circulations we're watching in Floyd County. Kevin's watching that carefully, moving into Clark, now along the Lee Hamilton, just south of Sellersburg. So we're watching that carefully in the central part of Clark County. Floyd, actually, you're fine for now until that second cell gets closer. Now we're watching this wave. This is the one that has triggered your phones and the sirens in Louisville to be activated. This is the one that's moving quickly along the eastern side here of Brandenburg and Meade County. Eventually will pass right over the radar. So in a moment, I'm going to switch the radar over to a different view to get a better handle on that. Looks like another polygon may have been drawn here. Let me look.
New tornado warning coming out.
Yeah, they pushed it a little bit into Prospect, so it now includes the northern part of Jefferson County to account for the circulation that Kevin's been tracking in Clark County. That tornado warning gets you all the way basically parallel and north of I-71 as you travel into Oldham County, Henry County, Clark, and then even parts of even Trumbull, including this also until 12:30, Kevin.
It really is that train track of storms we've been tracking all evening that were set back along the Ohio River, and they've been one by one coming up. This is the northernmost and the forwardmost storm right over Prather, moving north of the Lee Hamilton. That's north of Cementville. New severe thunderstorm warning coming out, but this is the latest tornado warning that we have for southern Indiana. I'm going to drag this down just a bit, show you parts of Kentucky, because you can see that rotation is still there as it works its way from Prather to Watson. Strong rotation showing up. Oldham Acres, Longview Branch, Utica would be next in line. Utica is just going to sit just a bit too far south to see the bulk of that rotation. I'm going to drag this down. Clarksville out of the main rotation, still seeing strong winds. Same with Jeffersonville. That again will be moving through. Louisville, you are still under the tornado warning. The worst of the weather for us has not arrived yet. It is setting back out to the west of us in the form of a, what on the radar looks like a backward C. It's a wall of wind along with the possibility of some rotation coming in to the western part of Jefferson County. And we can see that as we look at the radar view, perhaps a little bit better than the velocity. Again, checking out many areas. You look inside those storms, you can see a little bit of possibility of rotation, but it's tough to pick out on the wide view. You really have to get down into those storms and see it. And you'll notice that Boeing segment pushing through parts of Meade County. That's what's going to approach southwest Jefferson County and move across Louisville. That's the reason for the tornado warning for us. Let me zoom into it just a little more so you can see it. And we'll focus on the Louisville storm and then work our way up. You'll notice that moving through. And notice those little notches. That's what we're talking about. You get the little notches in there, and that is where you could have the spinning and the possibility of the rotating storm, hence the tornado warning that we have. When we look at the velocity, sometimes it's clear where we have that. That's clear that we have a punch of wind, but it is not clear that it is rotating or that we would have a tornado. Doesn't mean we don't, just means that it's tough to pick out on this velocity scan. So that's one of the storms. That storm is moving to the northeast at about 55 miles per hour. That storm is the one that includes a good chunk of western half of Louisville. Northeast Jefferson County under the tornado warning for this couplet. Now that one you can see much clearer where we have the rotation passing by Sellersburg. And it's going to cross the river back into perhaps northeast Jefferson County, not far from Prospect, and certainly into Oldham County, most likely up around the Goshen area. So let's zoom into that just a little bit more. As we zoom in, I'm going to call some areas out, and you should be in your tornado safe place. Charlestown, Prather, River Bluff, Goshen. This is Oldham County. The storm is going to move back across the river as it moves into Oldham Acres and Belknap Beach, River Ridge, Longview Beach, places along the river. This will eventually impact River Bluff and Goshen, perhaps. So those are a few places to mention as this storm now crosses Indiana 62. Moving to the east and northeast at roughly 60 to 65 miles per hour, we know we have power outages associated with this. Brian?
Okay, appreciate that, Kevin. We have been watching the camera. I've got it aimed toward Prospect, but I also have the cord in right now on the northern edge of this Boeing segment that is moving in. The second cell that's next in line to move into Louisville Metro. And this is going to run right into Louisville here. Bullitt County, Jefferson County, very strong winds. Radar estimates are still over 70 miles per hour. We have yet to have anything recorded yet on winds other than Hardinsburg. Quote that here, they just came in at 53 miles per hour, but that may be a bit delayed on that report. But again, that push, a very strong wind is moving in on our western side here, moving across Harrison County, Corden all the way down to near Laconia, heading to the north and east into Valley Station. Let me show you what it looks like into Corden right now, actually, on the northern side here of that line as it moves into Harrison County. This is a live look right now as that's moving in. Rain has just now picked up after a bit of an ease that took place after the first cell that moved into Floyd County passed by. Things calmed down for a bit. Now it's ramping right back up again. For those of you in Corden, I know you're trying to probably get some sleep and get to bed. Can't quite do that just yet. Got to let this wave pass by as some very strong winds may even impact a good chunk of Harrison County, even though there's no warning officially out for Corden. Some strong winds are noted in your area. But Kevin, this Boeing segment that this is attached to is the main one. So big heads up, Valley Station, areas around Fairdale, Dixie Highway, Bullitt County area around Jefferson Memorial Forest, areas that were just hit by damage on Sunday night, could have a damaging storm approaching here in the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, no question. Anytime you see that backward C type of shape, as we've noted that's moving toward us, that is an indicator that certainly we would have the potential to see those very strong winds. The tornado warning continues for that particular zone. It's why it's flashing. The National Weather Service saying that, again, right at this time at 12:06, the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Valley Station, and this is moving northeast at 70 miles per hour. So this is moving very close to the Valley Station area now, and will be continuing a rapid pace to the north and east as it moves through. You can see that general push of wind coming in. When you look at the radar on this, the reflectivity, it's that initial push of wind coming into Shively, PRP. Let's name some of those towns that this storm will be rolling into as well. As we take a close view of southern Jefferson County, places like Shively, PRP, Valley Station, Iroquois Park, Fairdale, you should be prepared as this strong wind moves in. Back to our home view we go. We've been talking about the tornadoes that have been moving across all of the viewing area. The one that showed the most promise with the strong gate-to-gate wind was the storm that moved across New Albany. That storm continues as it moves with a tornado warning just across the river. This is now approaching just north of Prospect and Goshen. Let's bring in John Belsky, former wave meteorologist. He is in New Albany. And John, I know that storm went right across your area. Are you okay? First of all,
yeah, we're good, Kevin. We went. We were down the basement. You could hear the roar of the wind, and I've been tracking that on the radar, just like you all have been, and I figure it probably went aloft and went right over us, because we could hear the roar, and we're still getting, and we're on the north side of New Albany. We're still getting 50-mile-per-hour winds at times, and then, you know, but I've not heard of any damage other than I just monitored on the police scanner. There's a transformer down on Charlestown Road. Don't know the exact.
But really, this is a case of
Location of that, and also just heard on Jefferson County they dispatched.
World. You can see how it's moving in across the Ohio River there into the very northern part of Hardin County, northwest tip there of Bullitt County, and southwest Jefferson County. And again, just south of Dixie Highway near the Dairy Queen there on Dixie and the Snyder Freeway, that is where that strong push of wind is noted. Easily could be up to 70 miles per hour. I got a feeling it's hitting areas where we can get some wind speeds confirmed on some gauges here soon. So stay tuned as it moves across that area. Ron Hoke's keeping an eye on the power outages, because you heard John Belsky. By the way, what a sense of nostalgia that was here in John Belsky. But he's mentioned the transformers that were blowing. You've been tracking a lot of the power outages, and we've been having a lot of viewer reports about these transformers.
Yeah,
right?
Everybody talking about, like, hey, you got these blue flashes in the sky here, and we've also got some video from the Wave Storm Tracker earlier here that we'll be able to run here for you from our control room of the power flash, the transformer explosion here. If we can get that, it is rolling right now. We don't quite see it in the view here just yet. Not quite sure when this is going to hit here.
There it is.
There it is. Boom, right there. That's what we're talking about. That's why we've been seeing these power outage numbers go up. They've been spiking across Washington, Orange, and Lawrence counties, and we'll likely see them spike in Floyd County just because of the plethora of reports that we've gotten on social media and from our own wave storm tracker, Kevin.
All right, we get back to the radar view. Velocity is what we have up. We are tracking this storm moving across far eastern parts of Clark County. Goshen is in the path of this storm. We're going to break these up. I'll take the northern part. Brian's going to take the southern part. So we'll track these storms into and out of Jefferson County. Let me zoom in as we take a closer view of the storm that's moving across eastern parts of Clark County. We still see that rotation not far from Runyon Town over toward Hibernia, Sunset Village. This is going to move toward Greenhaven and Oldham. This is not too far from the Goshen area. When we lift the radar up, you're going to see what we're talking about as this moves across the river. There's Goshen, River Bluff. That's in the path of some of that strongest wind. That would take it over toward Greenhaven, Dimpleytown, Oldham. Those areas in Oldham County or New Washington, Hibernia, if you're in southern parts of and eastern parts of Clark County, should be in your tornado safe place. Eventually, this pushes up into Trimble County of Kentucky. You too will need to be in your tornado safe place. This is the storm that has caused power outages, caused those transformers to blow, shook some houses that you heard about. So again, the rotation is there. The powerful winds are there. That is the northern tornado warning along the Ohio River. We have one moving into southwest Jefferson County, and Brian is keeping an eye on that one.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Yes, this is moving right over the West Point area, now crossing Dixie Highway and the Gene Snyder Freeway. Now, radar estimates of this particular push of wind right now are coming in near hurricane force, about 75 miles per hour. Now, it is a bit off the ground from the radar beam is over there in southeast Jefferson County, but it is tracking right along the Jefferson Memorial Forest. So eventually, we're going to get into a zone we're not going to hear much, other than those that are very close to, say, Mitchell Hill area. You may run into perhaps some very strong winds could cause the power to flicker in that area. Let us know. But by all means, if you're in southern Jefferson County, especially Valley Station, Okolona, Hillview, and Highview, even Shepherdsville, Pioneer Village area, heading toward, say, Maryville, you may have to get into your safe spot. It is a good time to do that right now before the surge of wind comes in. Even though we don't have anything really that looks like it's spinning here, this looks like just a very strong push of straight line wind at the moment, but we can easily get a spin that can develop out of that as it surges out ahead of the line. It can create that motion there, and that's when we're going to be watching carefully as it tracks over southern Jefferson. Now, almost the same pathway, a little bit of a different angle, but the same path as Sunday night. Some of those worst the storms are tracking there, Kevin.
Yeah, that one's moving at 70 miles per hour. We have 13,000 customers in Floyd County without power. That includes the city of New Albany. We're tracking that storm that went through New Albany. You can see the center of that circulation moving through Hibernia right along the river. I'm going to zoom in even tighter on that so we can point out a few communities that are in the track of that storm. So I'm going to go in even tighter. You're going to see Greenhaven, Oldham. As this storm moves back across the river, there should be a pretty good view here as it moves across 524. Again, you take Hibernia just past 62. That's where the strongest of the winds are for now. That will continue to move off to the north and east. This storm not moving quite as fast as that southern storm. This one's going about 55, 60 miles per hour. There you see the Ohio River. That takes you over into Oldham. And then we pointed out Greenhaven to the south. This greatest rotation is right along the Ohio River in Oldham County, expected to go through northern Oldham County into Trimble County within the next 20 minutes or so. I'm going to zoom back out just so we can all get our bearings on where we are in relation to these storms, because some folks to our south are like, what storms are you talking about? We haven't had any just yet. So let me put the radar on. Areas of Washington, Marion, Greene, Taylor, even Hart and Adair, you haven't seen the storms yet, but they are moving in. The southern edge has not been severe. And in fact, there have been fewer severe thunderstorm warnings, and the focus has mainly been on the storms on that leading edge that are tornadic and tornado warnings that we have. Those are the strongest pushes of wind that we have. Behind me, you can see our SkyTrack camera. We've got one focused, again, not far from the city as we look from South Louisville. And then, of course, the storm tracker moving across parts of southern Indiana. Power still on beyond where we see that coming in from, at least at this point. Let's go back and zoom into Metro Louisville. We still have tornado warnings for the city. This encompasses in the metro even parts of Oldham County and Clark County as this storm moves across the river. Really, the interesting part to look at on both of these is where we have the signature of the radar bowing out. And you can see it there. I'm drawing on it. That is one little bow, that notch. That is the potential for rotation as that lifts right along the river into northern Oldham County, eventually expected to cross 42, taking you over toward Trimble County. The other one is moving into western Jefferson County, and that bowing segment's going to reach the airport. We'll get some real-time wind information. Right now, 35 mile per hour is the gust. We had gusts higher than that earlier today. In fact, you can see that push of wind is past Valley Station, moving closer to Fairdale and eventually Okolona as this in central and southwestern Jefferson County moves through. That would have already impacted Shively and Valley Station, moving toward Audubon Park. And Brian, I see you've got your radar centered on that, so that push of wind, again, should be getting some real-time measurements as it gets closer to the Louisville airport.
In fact, that's the airport right below me there on that SkyTrack camera we're watching. Now, the airport's right on the fringe of that push of strong wind. Yes, it's moving right over the forest, heading, this is still indicating winds right now that could easily be over 70 miles per hour based on radar estimates. So we're waiting for some ground truth to come in. Don't have it yet, but we are watching that as it moves along. So I hope everyone stay in your safe spot. Southern Jefferson County, northern Bullock County, just stay there. Let us monitor this and see how this transpires as it crosses I-65, tracking right along the Gene Snyder Freeway, heading right again to Okolona and the Highview and portions of even the western side of Fern Creek. We'll see some of the impacts from this push of very strong wind as it moves across southern areas of Jefferson County. Still a lot of concentration of lightning, too, with that as that surges to the east there. So we'll be watching this closely. We'll be watching the camera feed there at all the international. As soon as I get any numbers that come in, Kevin, I'll make sure to pass those along there.
All right, we're starting to get some flooding reports out of Indianapolis. Vehicles flooded in water, so heavy rain will eventually also become a problem across the area. 2 tornado warnings that we have pushing through, one now into Oldham County, the other one moving through central parts of Jefferson County. Deja vu all over again of what we just had happen, where we had tornadoes on Sunday, 5 confirmed, more surveys to be done. But you can see these storms pushing through. Tough to pick out exactly where we would have the exact rotation going on, but when we look inside that storm, you can see the push of wind passing Valley Station and moving through. The tornado warning covers obviously a lot larger real estate than just one particular place, but again, moving past Valley Station, not too far from Fairdale, just north of you, Iroquois Park, that would be the zone to watch as this storm moves off to the north and east at 70.
Yeah, the circulation jump a bit more there, Kevin, right there in Valley Station.
Yeah.
And Prairie Village.
Not too far from that.
Right on the northern edge of that backward sea there is where that notch is. You see it right there along the Snyder. That signal is getting a little stronger.
Yeah, and you can see it even better from the view that you have behind you. So as you zoom into the Valley Station area, those winds, the colors on that radar showing up, and that's where it's pushing out. Not too far from Fairdale. Nice push of wind there, arcing back to the Valley Station area, as you pointed out.
Yeah. So we'll wait and see. I think once it gets to the other side of the forest, I got a feeling the reports may start coming in a bit more. Let me check the stats here at Ollie real quick. They're coming in still at about only 25 miles per hour. But again, they're right on the northern fringe. I don't know. We'll see how this looks because it's going to be passing right over the Jefferson Mall area very soon in Okolona, Preston Highway, the outer loop area. So we'll see what happens when this push of wind moves quickly in that area to the other side of the Snyder. So again, stay in your safe spot. Central Jefferson County now is the best way to word that. Right along the I-65 corridor, the Gene Snyder Freeway. If you're ahead of this line, still stay in your safe spot, Fern Creek, and into even the northern part of Mount Washington until we get a better handle on how this evolves. So I did say they issued a severe thunderstorm warning too. Looks like this is going to be to the south of another cell that is moving in out of western Grayson. That whole line there moving in actually Grayson County all the way into portions of Hart County, may stretch into southern Hardin County. And again, this is the area we're watching for a severe thunderstorm warning. That just came out. That expires at 1 o'clock Eastern.
All right, let's go over to Ryan Hoke. He's got some more information as well. Again, tracking some of this powerful wind moving into southern Jefferson County. You can see that now approaching the Fairdale area.
Yeah, real quick, we've got a couple photos of damage from the Palmyra-Pekin area from a little bit ago. This may look like a daytime photo, but I think this is a strong floodlight or a super long exposure. You can see that garage there now covered by a tree limb, and of course, that caused the entire roof of this garage to collapse. Thanks to Greta for sending this in. Again, the Pekin, Palmyra area. This was right along the Harrison and Washington County line there, right along Highway 150. So starting to get some of those damage photos in. If you have any, submit them to our post that we have on the Wave Weather page. It's all text. It says if you have any damage photos, submit them here. We can get them on TV real quick, Kev.
All right, Ryan Hoke, thank you very much. Our team assembled to make sure we're giving you the up-to-date weather information you need. A number of severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings continue to move across the Louisville area. We've had no massive damage that we know of. We have no confirmed tornadoes currently on the ground, but we have had reports that each of these two storms with the two tornado warnings that we're tracking have been producing enough wind to blow transformers, bring down a few trees and power lines. So we know that there is at least impact from these storms. I'm going to track both of those for you as we continue to move along this line of storms. We'll start with the northernmost one first as this moves across parts of Oldham County. Allow me to zoom into this and then we'll take a closer view of the velocity. This is the reflectivity that we're looking at. Again, you can see sort of on that nature of where we would have the strongest winds close to that border of Oldham and Trimble counties at this point. The tornado warning is being allowed to expire for Clark, Jefferson in Indiana, and then Henry, Oldham, and Trimble of Kentucky. So this looks like it will be allowed to expire. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, Brian or Ryan, but when we look at that velocity, you can see it has certainly flattened out just a bit. I want to point out that while we're watching the radar, we're also watching all the live feeds coming in, and you are too. The storm tracker has pulled over with heavy rain pushing through. You can see some of the Trimark cameras also showing that very heavy rain moving through downtown Louisville. So again, we are watching what's happening here in Louisville and surrounding us. This warning allowed to expire, and let's go to the one to the south. It remains in place, so we do have the tornado warning that continues to move through southern and central parts of Jefferson County and northern parts of Bullitt County. And you'll notice that push of wind working its way through there. So we're getting reports coming out of Clark County with trees down, power lines down. That's been the theme so far, Brian, and I suspect we'll see some of that moving across southern Jefferson County too. You're probably eyeing your street to see what you're getting.
Yeah, my cameras are going crazy at home, getting triggered because everything's flying by. So at least I know I have power. It's good. But yeah, these the strongest of the winds right there. Let me get a little closer to this. And I still have a measurement on it because, again, it's just barely missing the airport, so it's going to be really tough to get much data on it immediately until it gets to the Weather Service office, which is located roughly about right here is where the Weather Service is located. So it's hitting them here in the next few moments. But it's right there along. Here is the outer loop area in Okolona. Here's the Gene Snyder Freeway. And then as you travel down, this is Preston Highway here. So, again, it's right at that point where everything kind of converges together right over the Jefferson Mall, heading toward Cooper Chapel. And Mount Washington Road, heading toward the northern part of Heritage Creek, McNeely Lake zone as well. That
sounds familiar.
It does. It all seems like deja vu, to be honest with you, from what you just went through the other night. So, but no word yet on the extension. I know we're checking on that to see if that's going to be the case, if this is going to continue into Fern Creek. This warning will be extended or not into Spencer or Western Shelby. I got a feeling just about the wind side of this, Kevin, it seems like it would continue for a while.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that signature right there is a strong push of wind right along the Gene Snyder, and that's going to take it right toward the Fern Creek area, a very populated area. It's all in Jefferson County, so we have a tremendous, probably least populated is when you get far eastern Jefferson County to south and east, but certainly a large population as we move this right across the Snyder into Fern Creek. Let me just zoom into that a little bit more. We'll name out some of the towns in the path of sort of that apex. Now, you'll notice the warning goes all the way up to the Highlands. Sure, you're going to see some wind, but the highest of the wind is from Okolona to Hillview down to Shepherdsville at this point. So places like Moore High School, Glen Mary, Fern Creek, right along Bardstown Road or Louisville Road, whichever you want to call it, that 150 should be a zone of approach within the next probably 5 minutes. So if you are in that zone, please make sure you are in your tornado safe place. We go into Bullitt County, and I'll zoom down. Hebron Estates down toward Hillview. Eventually, this will go toward Mount Washington, and that takes us all the way down 61 into Shepherdsville. This is pretty powerful wind. You start to see those oranges show up. That's really where you have some real powerful winds coming in. Again, the only issues that we have had out of all of this has been down trees and power lines causing some issues, some transformers that have been blown. Wouldn't be surprised to see some fires started by the lightning that's been in place. The warnings that we have, a cluster of severe thunderstorm warnings around Covington in northern Kentucky, and then again the tornado warning coming across Bullitt and Jefferson. The other tornado warning allowed to expire already, and we'll just zoom in again and track what we have been for a while now, and that is these pockets of wind that have the potential to rotate. These aren't the clearest signatures for tornadoes, but you can see that pocket of wind coming across southern Jefferson and a good chunk of Bullitt through at least central Bullitt County. The extension will not be
They put it as a
tornado
considerable severe thunderstorm warning tag on it for 70 miles per hour. So they did change the wording on that to adjust, but with a tour possible. So that's how that looks like they're going to treat it as it moves into eastern Jefferson into Fern Creek.
Yeah, so this is the warning. Again, quite a large population within that polygon, about 267,000 people being impacted by this one storm alone as it moves across parts of Bullitt, Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby, parts of each of those counties. That would include J-Town, Newburgh, St. Matthews. Again, as Brian mentioned, coming with considerable on the threat because of those very strong winds. Keep in mind, the storm is moving at about 70 to 75 miles an hour, so the wind potential is there, and the tornado possibility is there as well. So that is the extension of the tornado warning that we had. Once this passes by, the tornado
we got another tornado warning coming out.
Oh, it almost came out of my mouth. And once that expired, we'd be finished with the current ones.
Yeah,
but,
this is going to be the northern part of Jefferson County. It's really that core. We've been watching that strong push of wind near the airport that is moving over J-Town. So they're going to warn on this for a possible tornado heading toward Middletown, St. Matthews, J-Town, all the way into northern Shelby County. Again, this is the zone we're looking at. A tornado warning now out for roughly right around, I would say, Breckenridge Lane area and the Waterston Expressway. That's where we're seeing the potential circulation there. It's going to move right over Middletown and head into the southern part of Oldham and Henry County and western Shelby, Kevin. So that warning is set to expire at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and you can see that on the radar. Again, moving right across the heart of Louisville. We have two storms that we're tracking. Both of those have the potential for very strong winds and obviously some rotation. If we look at that radar view and I show you the velocity on that, you can see the warning as there's one stacked up and then one back to the south. Let's look at the velocity on that, and you'll notice, again, the push on the northern edge, and then, of course, what we've been watching move through near the J-Town area is where it would approach, and then back into Bullitt County. So that is an area of concern. We've been talking about that one for some time. You can see that warning flashing, an indicator that it has just been issued or redrawn. So we know that that one has just been issued, and it's because of that pocket of wind there. Moving to J-Town, Middletown, Crestwood, you're going to be in the path of that storm as it crosses over northeast Jefferson County and over into the Raymond area. And that would be in far western parts. It's just north of the Simpsonville area. And you can see some of those very strong winds showing up on the radar view. So this is a pocket of wind that could produce 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, Brian.
Okay, looks like I didn't see the strong wind gusts there at Ollie. I'm going to check Bowman here in a second, although it's
54 is the latest.
Did it? Okay, I just saw it update. Yeah. Okay, so that was on the French too. Right. So it likely was probably over 60 miles per hour there into Okolona, and then tracking right along the Waterston, Newburgh Road, Hurstbourne Parkway. That seems right in the zone right there, where you can find that all the way through Breckenridge Lane.
All right, again, we're tracking this pocket of heavy wind. Moved just south. There's the airport. This moved just south. We recorded 54-mile-per-hour winds at the airport. This is moving, and I'm going to zoom in real tight. Going to give you some communities to keep an eye on. We said Fern Creek about 5 minutes ago. Boom, it's on top of you. Jeffersontown coming toward you. Be prepared for that. We can give you Hopewell, Fisherville, Seatonville. This is going through the Glen Mary area. This is going to take it across the Gene Snyder as you work your way up towards 64. If this keeps its same movement, Eastwood as well as Lake Forest would be in the track of that storm. Middletown could get to you, could stay just to your south, but you're in the tornado warning. You too should be in your tornado safe place. Hurstbourne Acres, again, Brian mentioning Hurstbourne Lane and a number of the other areas out to the eastern side of Jefferson County with this wind approaching. Ryan, what do you have?
I want to address a few damage reports and some power outages. The emergency manager in Floyd County says 22,000 are without power, so that would almost double the number you see here on the screen. That data will update shortly. Quickly, Washington County, they've got a house with a roof off and a turkey barn severely damaged. Crews are en route to that location now, and also Campbellsburg, there is some damage up that way. So now this is starting to trickle in, and we've got scattered lines down and trees down all across Clark County as well, Kev.
And you point out that Washington County and the South Boston damage sort of blip we saw on the radar, the debris signal. Back again here in Louisville, I think we might be taking some power hits here. But when we are watching these storms move across eastern Jefferson County, you can see through J-Town, Fern Creek. These will be approaching Hopewell and Fisherville, moving up toward Eastwood. Again, at that junction of Shelbyville Road, as you push up along the Gene Snyder through Middletown, and you go out toward Eastwood. Again, Lake Forest would be a place of concern for some very strong winds moving in. So very populated area of Jefferson County as well as those pass by. Let me zoom out on the radar so we can show you that is the pocket of wind we're watching. That is the only tornado warning that we currently have in place. Additional severe thunderstorm warnings continue to the south. Brian? You're getting a new battery, so we're like the Energizer bunnies. No, we're not. We have to get new batteries every so often, too. 54-mile-per-hour gust has been reported at the airport, but again, it was stronger south of the airport. And I don't want to ignore northeast Bullitt County because you, too, are seeing pockets of heavy wind that are severe in nature through Mount Washington. But the greatest of the wind is in that tornado warning, and that is up across now far east central parts of Jefferson. That's going to take it through Fisherville. That's going to take it right up towards 64. That will take it through Eastwood. And you can see, again, Douglas Hills. Strong winds pushing through. Going to name some of these roads for you. That means Blankenbaker Parkway, Bluegrass Parkway in Louisville, Plantside Drive. That takes us over to Bircham Road, Eastwood, including Ash Run Road. You are in the path of this strong wind moving in. Is it an actual tornado? Tough to tell. Doesn't look like it on the radar, but it certainly is a strong wind signature right across the Blankenbaker Parkway as we see it now. In addition to the wind bubble that we have in eastern Jefferson County, we have a lot of rain falling across the area too. And we're starting to see with that rain flash flood warnings pop in. And we see some of those across parts of Lawrence and Jackson counties of southern Indiana and areas back toward Evansville and even southern Illinois at this point. So we will continue to track that new tornado or an update on the tornado warning that we currently have out. Again, this is capable of producing a tornado. This is over Middletown. It's moving northeast at 70 miles an hour. That is the wind that we've been talking about. It is the wind we've been tracking. We zoom into eastern Jefferson County, pointing out places along the path of this storm. You're going to notice J-Town. You have the strongest of the winds passing by you right now. We look at that velocity for you, and you're going to see moving right into Middletown. This is strong wind.
Yeah, the Weather Service typed out about a statement saying, and again, I was just looking at that right there on the Snyder Freeway and I-64. This is where we're getting, especially in the past couple scans here, of this cell right there into the southern part of Middletown. moving in right there along all the construction work that's going on, the new setup of the Snyder Freeway and the interchange there, toward I-64. That is really enhanced and heading right toward the Eastwood community. Looks like not really far from Route Road as you head into eastern Jefferson County.
Yeah, again, a highly populated area, too, which almost all of Jefferson County is. But that is the cluster of wind and the potential rotation we see passing J-Town, moving toward Middletown. We haven't had tremendous damage across our area, which is good news, at least not that we know of. But we have had a number of power lines down, trees that have been blown down, and we know over in Washington County, perhaps a tornado touchdown there where we witnessed the debris. Yes.
Take a look at our system here.
Okay.
We've got a debris signature.
Let's go to Max 2, and that's right over the junction.
Yeah, it just popped in. I mean, it really was that last scan that just updated right over.
So this could be a tornado on the ground moving right through Christian Academy. Let's zoom in and name off some of those roads.
Looks like Signature Point Drive area, English Station Road. Christian Academy areas. You venture off from the Snyder Freeway heading east. Beckley Hills heading toward Beckley Station eventually as you keep going eastbound. But just kind of a heads up right there along Shelbyville Road and I-64 in the Eastwood community. We kind of backtrack that. See, it
this
literally
is the
just
Lake
popped
Forest
in.
area.
Yeah.
This is Copperfield for those subdivisions in that area. This is going to hit you if this is on the ground right now.
And again, you're looking at the velocity, the debris signature that's showing this. The velocity is showing powerful winds moving right near that area as well. So when you combine those together, it gives credence to the fact that the radar is seeing something that should not show up there. That's why that little blue dot is amid all of the red. This is the velocity, and this is the reflectivity. This is showing heavy rain, possibility of even some small hail, but the heavy rain, and then there is the debris signature that appears. We'll see if that was just a fluke. It's often
I only got one scan, so that's
correct.
Going to need another here. But.
Yeah, so we're not here to alarm anybody, but this is the kind of stuff as real-time forecasting goes. We call it nowcasting, and we're watching the radar. We can't make the spin any faster on the radar, so we have to wait for the next scan to come through. It takes a few scans because it's it's the way the radar works, where we can get a complete scan once it rotates around a few times. Our wind gust in Louisville at the airport down to 40 miles per hour, and you'll notice that our eyes are on the junction of Shelbyville Road and the Gene Snyder, as well as I-64 and the Gene Snyder. That is where we have what appears to be a debris signature showing up from the debris detection on the radar. And Brian, what that means is there's something that, and it's right over Eastwood and intensifying.
So this is likely some damage has been picked up at some point there in eastern Jefferson County. It could have been before the Snyder Freeway and could still be lofted in the air. I'll try to get a handle on it. It may take me a second to get the height on that.
Yeah, this is moving across Lake Forest, very much near that area, as well as Polo Fields. Let's come back to the key. I want to point out a few things here. And as we take a closer view of that, let me just zoom into that far eastern Jefferson County storm as we track that into western parts of Shelby County. This is going to be the zone that we're watching. This is the velocity. What Brian was looking at was the debris field that we think we see on the radar. You're going to notice that over Eastwood. When we zoom into that area even more, just let me zoom in, and I'm going to make this pretty tight so we can see a few of these roads. This would be Rockrest Way, Preserve Point Drive, Ash Run Road, Flat Rock Road, Creek Run Drive, Locust Park Place, Long Run Park Road, and as you look across this area near Johnson Road, this is where we're seeing some debris. Let's cross-reference that with the velocity that we have to see where the current rotation may be. It is still in that area, so it matches up, which means we could have debris that the radar is seeing, and the radar sees the rotation and the very strong winds. I'm going to keep us on a very tight view of the radar, and I've mentioned your road. You certainly need to be in your tornado-safe place. You have no time. Locust Creek Boulevard, as well as Notting Hill Boulevard. You can see Sandwich Drive, Locust Creek Boulevard I mentioned, Old Stagecoach Road, Long Run Road, Robin Lane, Long Run Park, all in this area. Lots of communities, lots of homes, including Polo Fields and several others, including Copperfield, including Lake Forest, not far away. So all of those are places of concern as we continue to track what appears to be some debris lofted into the atmosphere with this storm. Brian, show us again a slightly wider view of where we're at.
Okay, here's the look right now, and again, I got a feeling this may be an upgraded look at the tornado warning here very soon. It's still there. Its signature is a little bit weaker, but it's still very pronounced. It started roughly, it looks like right around J-Town, east of J-Town, heading toward the Snyder Freeways, where likely, if there was a touchdown, it would have been right here in this location, crossed right over the Cloverleaf of 64 and the Snyder Freeway. Now it's over Eastwood, and because the radar has a slight delay to it, it is now just south of Todd's Point, heading toward Chestnut Grove. So it is now really all the way into Shelby County. Let me give me a second here, and we're going to punch up on our SkyTrack camera because it is looking a little wild here. This is going to be over into the outlets shops into Simpsonville. So let me punch them up. I mean, this is not going to be directly in the path, but we'll see what it looks like in that area. So let's take a look at that. And again, we're looking in the direction of where that cell is now approaching, just on the northwest side there of Simpsonville. This is a relatively steady camera, by the way. It takes a lot to shake this one.
Yeah, look at those street lights or the parking lot lights where you can see that wall of rain.
Let me see if I can get a wind. I got 37 miles per hour right now into Shelbyville. But we may get a number here on Simpsonville shortly. I'll keep an eye on that. But that signature's still holding, and it's going to be passing very close there. But it's nearly entirely now into Shelby County because of the delay on radar.
All right, new severe thunderstorm warning is coming out, and let me just address that quickly, and then we'll get back to the tornado warning. This is for Bullitt, Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby. This it just continues the bottom part of that Boeing segment. Still tornado possible, still comes with a considerable tag because of the 70-mile-per-hour winds. We are tracking that as it moves closer to Taylorsville, Bardstown. You're going to be on the fringe of that, certainly northern parts of Nelson County. On the velocity, and what has our greatest attention happens to be debris that we've picked up on the radar. That's moving across eastern Jefferson County into far western parts of Shelby County. This is the velocity on that, and you can see the couplet near Eastwood now approaching the county line. When we look at the debris signature that we've picked up on this, you'll notice that it has weakened in the last scan, so there's not as much blue, but it's certainly still present and there right across the county border. So that's one area certainly of concern as we look at the radar view. We have a number of areas that we can look. When we look at the relative velocity and the storm relative velocity, that pocket of strong wind passing into western parts of Shelby County, Simpsonville, and that's the camera you see behind me. So we've got Simpsonville here. The storm tracker is here in what appears to be a very unlit area where maybe power is out. And then, of course, Brian is taking a closer view at the storms that as they move through. We only have one set of eyes, so it takes all of us to keep watching all of these storms as they pass through. The strongest of this storm in northeast Jefferson County or eastern Jefferson County, crossing through Eastwood, is now moving into western Shelby County. It's flattening out just a bit, but places like Todd's Point, north of Simpsonville, you should be in your tornado safe place. Between the two is really that target zone. So right along 1848. I'm going to zoom into that area. We'll encompass Todd's Point and Simpsonville. That is the zone 1848 that we're going to see some of those powerful winds move through. Not too far from the Todd's Point area as this lifts off to the north and east. Fairly rural area, we might add, but when we look at that debris, lines up right accordingly with that. And you can see it weakening just a bit there, but we very well may have had a tornado touchdown in eastern Jefferson County, probably just south of 64 and then lifting across 64 as it moved closer to what would be just east of, say, Lake Forest. Okay, so that would be the zone. Still showing some signs, though, that we may have something lofted into the atmosphere here. Can't tell for certain if it's on the ground, but Brian, I think we certainly had something there.
Yeah, and I'm watching the traffic cameras. Can't tell a whole lot yet in that area, that interchange of 64 and the Snyder. There's some slow traffic there, but I think it's for a lot of people just because of how heavy the rain was. They pull it off to the side, but I'll monitor that. I'm not seeing any surge in power outages in that area yet as well. Watching that and see if we see a spike here of reports that come into play. Still seeing the debris signature, but it's not as pronounced as what it was. It's now likely whatever it picked up is being scattered. What this is basically telling me is that whatever is falling in this little area where you see that yellowish color is not the shape of a raindrop would be. That's what we're looking for. Anything else that's a more reddish color indicates that everything's the same size and shape. It's a raindrop. But when you get into this area, it detects a foreign object, basically. This radar can detect birds and bats, to be honest, even insects. So it's very advanced to pick out when things don't belong, and it's indicating there's likely an object that is likely metal, or even sometimes shingles could be picked up and show up. But we don't always know exactly how large you are. What we try to track is how high it gets thrown, and I'm still working on that to get that answer for you because it's so close to the radar beam. But it is tracking, again, to the western side there of Shelby County, Kevin.
Hey, I'm going to ask Ryan and the folks in our control room in eastern Jefferson County. There's surely somebody that would know by now if we've had a tornado touchdown. Let's see if we can get some of those folks to confirm that and be on the phone with us so we know how to pass along this information down the line. So we'll be making some phone calls, reporting back to all of you watching momentarily. To our south, we have severe thunderstorm warnings in Grayson County, southern parts of Hardin County. That comes up not to E-Town, but not far from that. Just north of Bardstown in northern Nelson County, severe thunderstorm warning, and you can see that tornado warning being pared back just a bit. Updating, still moving northeast at 70 miles an hour.
Shelbyville did hit 56 miles per hour.
In Louisville, 56.
And Shelbyville.
Oh, Shelbyville,
Yeah.
56.
Okay, we do have some damage here reported that is right at the cloverleaf of 64 and the Snyder. According to a storm chaser, they're turning around to see if anyone's hurt right now. It says they're checking for injured folks. This is 64
So, I mean,
265.
Did it tumble cars, I'm guessing?
I don't have that information yet, but getting ready to make some phone calls as we speak. That just came over the wires here with NWS chat. So here we go, starting to get our first potentially some damage reports out of eastern Jefferson County here. We're going to make some phone calls, figure out what's going on, Kevin.
I see a lot of semis that are pulled off the side of the road and the cameras. Let me see if I can get a live feed, so bear with me on that.
All right, and let's get the storm tracker out that way. The severe part of this is over. Let's go. We need to be in eastern Jefferson County. Another report, roof collapse at 2400 Good Samaritan Way. That's near Watterson Trail. The latest tornado or severe thunderstorm warning that's out is for parts of Bullitt, Hardin, LaRue, and Nelson. So that's the extension right along the parkway. That sort of backward sea that we're looking at, that's another push of wind. We said that warning didn't come to E-Town, but it would come right up to it. Well, that's the one we were expecting. So now a good chunk of Hardin and Nelson counties combined with the northern parts of LaRue County also now under that severe thunderstorm warning. We go back to the tornado warning. We're going to take a closer view of that with the velocity and then the debris. We're looking still near Raymond Hill for some of those powerful winds. That could cross over into southern parts of Henry County. That would take it near Eminence. Again, when we look at this in terms of debris, over the cloverleaf that we saw, that's right here, so in Middletown, that is an area that we saw that is still pushing through. We have lost the debris signature on at least the latest run of the debris signature, or the correlation coefficient, as we would call it. So that is some good news, showing some signs of that weakening as it moves into southern parts of Henry County. That would include Smithfield and Eminence, technically still under the warning. All right, who is in the storm tracker, and can they talk to us?
They're on their way to Middletown. They're almost there.
Okay, I haven't heard from them.
We directed them over in that area. They right now on the Trimark cameras, if we're able to take, it's hard to see in my system here, they've been adjusting. So Metro Safe and Trimark are paying attention right now. So they are adjusting the camera. So you can see them working on it right now. So I got a feeling they're looking to see the reaction of what we're reporting of anything that's happened. So we'll see what they do. I don't have control of this camera. They do. So let's give them a second and see if they are going to aim toward an area that they are suspecting that could be a problem area there, right at the interchange again of I-64 and the Snyder Freeway. It looks awfully dark there. It seems like we have more street lights in that particular spot, but maybe I'm wrong. with all the construction that's been going on.
Yeah, and zero traffic.
Yeah, very quiet. So I'm not sure if any area is blocked or anything. I'll watch this for a moment. Looks like someone may be coming now, but I'll monitor that. But again, I got a feeling that especially with slow traffic in that area, there may be something that's happened. It looks like it could be, if there's anywhere, I would say the ramp going from 64 West to the Snyder North, eastbound both, in that spot.
We've not seen a single car come by, which is interesting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure which direction we're looking at on this one particular angle, but I'll monitor that. But there is definitely slow traffic that is forming on the sensors in that area from 64 West to the Snyder North there.
And there goes one tractor trailer through. Be interesting to see. Again, if you are watching our coverage, we have all eyes on the storms moving through. The one lone tornado warning that we still have moving out of eastern Jefferson County, where there was likely a tornado touchdown, where we at least saw some type of debris show up on the radar. Still working to confirm any problems that may be out there. But we do have that tornado warning that has weakened substantially, by the way, as it moves into northern parts of Shelby County and southern parts of Henry County, south of Newcastle, closer to the Eminence area. This is still some powerful winds that we continue to push off to the north and east. When we look at the picture as a whole, that is the only tornado warning that we have, and that is still in place until 1 a.m. So we have another 9 minutes in place for that tornado warning. Other warnings are severe thunderstorm warnings that we have. Show you those on our home view, and those stretch from the northern part of the viewing area all the way down to the south. Embedded in those severe thunderstorm warnings, we will still have the opportunity to see strong winds, especially where you see these bowing segments take out. So insulation debris on 64 at 265. So you saw that, Brian?
I'm not seeing that particular description
across multiple lanes.
Yeah, so give me a moment and let me see if I can get, it may not be within a camera view, which I suspect is probably the case.
I just got off the phone with MetroSafe. They didn't want to talk to me because they've got too many things going on, apparently, and Quentin in our newsroom just did the same thing. They're really busy right now, so there's likely something going on, but they won't tell us what's going on at the moment.
Well, that's great, and I appreciate their busyness, but the fact is we understand something's going on. We're trying to get that information out, too. We certainly don't want to be a hindrance to what they're doing in terms of getting emergency crews out there, so we'll wait our turn to see what's happened. But here in Louisville, outside of calling into MetroSafe, we can get the PIO on the phone. We can get a number of other folks to confirm what has happened in Jefferson County. And we will soon know, because Fernando Garcia Franceschini is in the storm tracker. We're going to check in with him. We're going to get a bird's eye view of exactly what it looks like from him in the front seat of the storm tracker coming up. So again, you're looking at what was the view from the storm tracker as we work our way out across eastern Jefferson County. Taking a little bit of a hit in the lag time with our signal. It makes it tough. Fernando, where are you?
This is Ryan Hook over. Hey, Kevin. Right now we are in southern Indiana, heading towards J-Town. Where, like you mentioned, we have started hearing some reports about potential damage in Campus Place. The address is 1920 Campus Place, so we're headed in that direction. We've been driving around New Albany, and we've noticed a lot of places where there are definitely power outages, places without electricity. But aside from that and some fallen branches, we haven't seen a lot of damage. So that's why we're headed now towards the metro area, towards J-Town, to see what is going on over on that side of the river.
Okay, appreciate that. We'll check back in. We have other crews spread across Jefferson County, so we'll eventually get you to eastern Jefferson County here. Let's go over to Brian Good.
All right, thanks, Kevin. We're keeping an eye on that, still that debris signature that was pronounced earlier that is really lifted now. So I think this morning will be allowed to expire as it moves into the southern part there of Henry County and the far northern part of Shelby County. So we're almost at the very end of this, as that signature is not as pronounced as we had earlier. So I'm glad to be able to report that, because it was obviously a scary moment there for a while. Still some very strong winds. I mean, straight line winds, you bet. We actually have the ability to measure the wind. Let's see if I can get that. This would be in toward, I got Shelbyville listed here. I think I got one in Eminence. Let me check here if I remember right. Northern Shelby County, 38 miles per hour has been the gusts I've been able to find there. So we'll be watching that and see how this works. All right, they're going to keep this going. So they're going to hold on to that signature for a bit longer. Again, it's going to be right there into Henry County. Bethlehem is now included in that. North Pleasureville into Cropper. Northern side of Shelby there for Cropper, and then as you move out of Christiansburg, that's where that circulation's still trying to hold on. We're not getting debris signatures, so I doubt right now that there is anything that's causing damage, but you got to always treat it that way. Get in your safe spot just in case this were to drop back down again, which is possible because we don't really think, based on the radar trends, it was on the ground very long. If it was into eastern Jefferson County, it may want back up again and could be trying to drop at any point. So got to get in your safe spot just in case. We'll watch it. But again, Henry County, southern Henry County, especially southeast, Newcastle, Eminence, Kentucky, that's a spot we're watching for right now, the rotation. That tornado warning goes all the way out to 1:30 in the morning. So this will be the last, likely, in our viewing area with this particular cell before it moves out of Henry County, but we'll keep an eye on it as it moves on the southern side of Newcastle and across Eminence at the moment. Still some strong winds, too. Got that severe thunderstorm warning right over Taylorsville Lake. That strong wind continues to push rapidly to the east and southeast. We'll be watching that as it moves into Anderson County. You guys will be up next. Jefferson County and Louisville. Let me take a look at the scan real quick to make sure, but at this point, it looks like, yeah, we're just in the rain. Severe weather threat is over for Louisville. It's now just rain and flash flooding that we got to watch out for in Louisville. And I believe we have flood advisories out in many spots just west and southwest of the metro. We will likely be added to that here soon as the heavy rain continues to pile up. But Indiana, you're now out of the woods on severe thunderstorms. So you can relax for a bit. Just keep an eye on the flooding aspect, right? So Indiana, you're in the clear on severe thunderstorms. Louisville right now is in the clear. The worst of the wind and the storms are now pushed out of Jefferson County. But anywhere else east of downtown or Jefferson County and Louisville, south and just southwest, we cannot let our guard down just yet. As we talked about several times, this line is in the process now of slowing down and beginning to tilt. And because of that, moving into the area in central Kentucky, it is really going to prolong any severe thunderstorm warnings. It could still get issued all through the overnight and flash flood warnings. And as I stressed earlier, this is an area that I think is going to get a tremendous amount of rain tonight. I'm talking about 3, maybe 4 inches of rain will fall out of this. So that's going to be a whole other hidden danger because you can't see anything at night that we need to really monitor as we head towards sunrise and throughout the morning hours. Right now, just as the tornado warning, the only one we got is moving into the southern parts of Henry County, far northeast Shelby, and is almost out of the area. The rest of the region right now, only a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings that we're still going to monitor there. Kevin?
All right. I'm getting some information here where we could have the roof off of the Papa John's headquarters, which is over off of Tucker Station Road near Blankenbaker. So that may be where we're seeing some of that debris come from that has been scattered about. Appreciate everybody sending in some of the information to me this evening. So again, that could be where we're seeing some of that insulation spread across. If you know off of Blankenbaker, you've got the clover leaf, which is this one, which is where we saw the insulation across the road. The Papa John's headquarters not far from there. If that information is true, that very well may be the damage that we're seeing and witnessing.
Okay, we can go to my Trimark. Let me pull that up. I can see emergency vehicles now that are showing up. Let me see if we can pull this up here. I'm not sure which vehicles they are. If you look right into your, actually, they may be in a process of going somewhere. Right in this area, I think that would be heading toward J-Town. That would be to the west, right? Is that where the Tucker State? Yeah, heading toward Blankenbaker. So Blankenbaker's right here behind the banner. So that's the area we're looking at. We're looking at 64 West is what we're looking at. I thought it was the Snyder at 64 West that we're looking at. So there were several emergency vehicles I just saw go by. So they're heading in that direction, Kevin.
Okay. We'll be reporting back. We've got a number of crews headed in that direction. Obviously, the closer you get, the harder it is to get to where you want to be. We are still tracking the tornado warning across parts of Henry County. This will eventually move up toward Monterey. This is passing just south of Newcastle. Eminence would be in the heart of this. That was the storm that we tracked out of eastern Jefferson County County. This storm has had a tornado warning with it just about the entire way as it's been across our viewing area. So we've been tracking it for hours now, and that is the latest tornado warning that's in place for parts of Franklin, Henry, and Shelby. That warning stays in place until 1:30 in the morning. This is moving northeast at 70 miles an hour. That is the storm you're watching. Just to get your bearings, Franklin County, we're going to clip the very northern part of that, but Frankfort, capital city, is well south of that warning, though you do have pretty decent wind moving in. Let me show you the velocity on this so you can see where we have the strongest of the wind, and that's moving just past Eminence now. That's going to lift toward the Monterey area, just north of Flag Fork. So that's one area of concern, the greatest area of concern. We still have lost that couplet that we had, which is a good sign, and we've certainly lost the debris signature that we had. That too is a good sign as we continue to scan the radar view from across the area. Back to the home view we go. Let me put the radar on, and then we'll go back to the home view, pointing out that that is the only tornado warning that we have. That will last for another 30 minutes as we track that across parts of Henry County, northern parts of Shelby County, far northern parts of Franklin County. But for the most part, it is Henry County that is in the path of that storm. To our south, severe thunderstorm warnings continue. No damage coming out of that area at this time. So that's what we're looking at in terms of warnings. We're going to check in with Ryan Hoke here in just a second to see if he has any new information on any of the storms that have been passing by. I will focus just to the south, a little more jaggedness instead of seeing that sharp bowing moving past E-Town. So that's some good news there. That simply means that the forward motion may be easing just a bit there. That's good in terms of wind, bad in terms of rain, because as this part slows down and this part speeds up, we sort of tilt this area of rain over the same area, and that could set up some heavy rain near the parkways. So that's something we'll have to be watching for over the course of the next few hours. So once you speed up one part of the line, if the other part doesn't speed up as well, we wind up tilting that line and seeing heavy rain develop. New severe thunderstorm warning is coming out for parts of the viewing area. I'll zoom into that for you so you can see that is going to be across the far eastern parts of Spencer County as well as Shelby County, moving through Anderson, Franklin, and Woodford. This too is considered considerable with the threat of damage because of those wind speeds up to 70 miles per hour. It also comes with that tornado possible tag. So that is the warning that we have for those areas moving through the Taylorsville area over toward Lawrenceburg. That warning comes right up to, and we're getting ready. There's the new warning for Franklin County, new tornado warning coming out for Franklin County. So that's on that edge where we see that couplet showing up. So this is a new tornado warning. Let's go to that. That will last also until 1:30. This goes through Peaks Mill. It also includes Sadieville. This is going to be moving up to the north and east. This is radar indicated. That will go until 1:30, paired up with the other warning. When we look at the velocity on this, we just pointed it out, but it's going to be in that general vicinity. As you cross out of Shelby County, sort of the triple point of Shelby over into Henry, and then moving into Franklin. So that's one area we'll be watching. While I've got my eyes on this, let's go talk about the rain totals in that scenario that's going to set up with Brian Good.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. This is a 24-hour rain total. Now, ignore the numbers in Indiana. They reset at midnight. Okay, wait, we got another tornado warning, Kevin. This is going to be LaRue County. Down to the south. So let me get to that. Hold on one second. Let me punch it up. This is going to be a tornado warning for Hardin, LaRue, Mary, Nelson, and Washington counties. This is going to be on the east side of E-Town. Is where this is rolling out of. This warning set to expire coming up at 30 minutes after the hour Eastern time. This is radar indicated. This, again, is going to include Bardstown. Is going to be in the path on the northern fringe. Roanoke, New Haven. Kevin, this is your area of town here we're talking about that this tornado warning is out for.
Yeah, we were just watching that, saying it looked a little more jaded on the edge and not as sharp, but clearly it still has the potential for strong winds. We were talking about the tornado warning across Franklin County. Now we've got the one farther further to the south. Let me go back to the views that we have, and you can see the latest one being issued. So now we really have three, one across parts of Henry County, northern Franklin. Then we get into really central and northern Franklin with the second one, and now a much larger tornado warning that spans across eastern parts of Hardin County, northern LaRue, southern Nelson County. That includes the areas south of Bardstown, including Culvertown, down to New Haven, my hometown, and then pushes over into Washington County. It clips Marion County, but barely. That would be the extreme northern part. Let's zoom into that area down there for folks that may be listening down across eastern Hardin County. This storm has passed E-Town. You can sort of see that backward C pushing into Boston, passing Roanoke. This is right along the Bluegrass Parkway. That's an area of strong wind that's moving in, and the strongest wind has passed the Roanoke area at this point. When we check the velocity on this, you're going to see that, and that is where we could have the possible couplet. You can see the brighter colors. This is going to move very close to New Haven. It's going to move closer to probably Culvertown and Balltown as this stays just south of the Bluegrass Parkway at this point. So this will be moving off to the northeast at 70 miles an hour. This stays just north of Loretto, and Bardstown is on the very northern edge of this. So it's really area south of Bardstown, down toward Balltown, Culvertown, and New Haven. Let's go over to Ryan Hoke.
Okay, yeah, we've got some damaged photos and reports now to share with you from eastern Jefferson County. This is Blankenbaker Crossings Apartments. What you can see here is some pretty decent tree damage there, and also debris kind of scattered on the patio here of this apartment. Also have report from Douglas Hills that there are sirens going off everywhere. There's an Anchorage Middletown Fire Department firehouse right down the road there, and they've likely shipped all the vehicles out to wherever they're needed at this time. Just heard back from Metro. They say very preliminarily they've got 3 commercial structures with storm damage in J-Town, one possible residential spot, quote unquote, here with damage in Anchorage/Middletown. The severity of this is all unknown at this point, but this is very slowly starting to trickle in. If you have photos, if you have video, and you can do so safely, if you're in Anchorage, Middletown, or J-Town, please submit them on the Wave Weather Facebook page. I've got a big post up there with a bunch of text right now calling for those areas so that we can get them quickly on the air here, Kevin.
All right, thanks, Ryan. We're watching this storm with a tornado warning across far eastern parts of Hardin County. It's past E-Town, approaching the Roanoke area. This is going to go through New Haven, Balltown, Culvertown, should scoot just south of Bardstown, but you're technically still in that warning as it continues to make its way off to the north and east. 70 miles per hour, fast forward speed on these, Brian, and with that we can still see that potential rotation and certainly that backward C, as we often call it, with that push of wind coming across that region in particular.
Yeah, especially when that push moves out toward the New Haven area. We'll see how much of that will begin to once again rotate on the northern fringe of that backward C, which we've seen several times. That same thing happened in Louisville. We had that backward C into Fairdale that was moving into Okolona, but the northern fringe of that began to spin and moved right over J-Town, and eventually led to what we believe has been a touchdown at I-64 and the Snyder Freeway. So it seems to be repeating again. This is the same little Boeing structure that was way back in southern Illinois, west of Paducah. We've been tracking it all night long, just haven't been able to monitor it every step of the way because we've had so much going on closer to home. But this is the same little ripple that is moving along, so it wouldn't surprise me that it could easily produce a brief circulation again. It's not quite there yet, but it is trying to get a little bit more organized as it tracks off to the east, right there in the far northern side of LaRue County, heading right on the Nelson County line. Looks to be that's the spot to watch as it tracks off to the east. Let me see if I can slow this down just a bit to see if there's any change in that. Okay, there we go. Just updated, heading toward Balltown. So yeah, right there, it's not a circulation. It really just looks like a burst of wind at the moment. The circulation's relatively broad, but we'll watch it and see, because the signature was very hard to pick out until it started to indicate debris in Jefferson County. That was the first sign of problems there.
We're getting some reports out of southern Indiana over near New Albany. In fact, this is going to be off of Castlewood Drive, Klerner Lane. This is not far from the IU Southeast campus over there. Trees down into houses or power lines. Again, a number of power outages have been reported across Floyd County, so it stands the chance that that certainly could be the case. So a number of trees likely down in perhaps that area. We're talking around Castlewood Drive, Klerner Lane, and Kent Drive over in New Albany. We track these storms through the area. They are still powerful. They are still, even at 1:09 in the morning, causing problems across the area. We zoom in. Let me center the radar, and then we'll zoom into each of these tornado warnings that we still have, looking at that possibility for not only the wind and the spin, but also the rotation that we could have. We see the strongest push of wind approaching 127. That's passing by the Flag Fork area. When we go to the velocity on this is the same storm that did produce damage in eastern Jefferson County. This would be now approaching 127 just north of Peaks Mill, and then moving along that line as it continues to move north of Frankfort and over closer into the Lexington and Cincinnati areas of coverage as this moves through. So for those folks in and you can see that new warning being extended for that exact area that we're looking at. Again, coming in saying that warning will stay in place for those folks, but be canceled for Franklin, Henry, and Shelby. So some good news there as we work that one out of the area. The ones that we continue to track are south of Louisville at this point, and you'll notice that storm is the one moving into parts of Nelson County. Let me zoom back into that for you. Tracking the storm south of Bardstown. This is already past E-Town. You can see near Blue Gap, as well as not far from New Haven, Balltown. I'm going to zoom in very tightly on this so we can call out a few places. There's New Haven, Lyon Station. That's over into parts of LaRue County. This is past Nelsonville, working your way through 46, taking you into Culvertown, Balltown, Greenbrier, Holy Cross. You are all in the path of this storm as it moves through with very strong winds. You should be in your tornado safe place at this point, allowing these storms to pass by with the wind. Gusts in Louisville have eased, and in most places we haven't had to deal with the strong winds. But you get into these pockets like we're looking at, anywhere from Bellwood all the way down to New Haven or Athertonville. That is where we have a pretty good push of wind, and that's coming right into the southern Nelson County area. So New Haven could even approach Gethsemane as you work your way toward the monastery. Again, looking at the new drawn warning that's coming out, that would be the zone of most concern. Brian, I see you're looking at the same storm.
Yeah, I was looking at the motion on it. Still moving at 70 miles per hour there to the northeast at a very fast rate. That's the only good thing, really, is how fast they're moving. They're getting in and getting out. But the problem is that forward motion, you add just a few miles per hour to that, and you end up with the potential straight line of wind damage that can occur to that. It can easily exceed that forward motion. So that's the reason why there's a danger of straight line of winds in general, but you can easily get these quick spin ups. And certainly we've already seen that issue for eastern Jefferson. May have seen that issue into Floyd County earlier, not too far away from State Street. It wouldn't surprise me that may have been the case there with other transformers that were blowing, but it may take a bit of time for us to go back and compare the damage to the radar data we're getting. That may take some time to kind of assess that. So at the moment, we just got to treat everything as a tornado is potentially going to form at any moment. You just need to make sure you're in your safe spot. Let this pass. It's not going to harm anyone to let that happen, right? So just get in your safe area. Lowest level of your home, basement, interior room, a closet, the bathroom. Best way to do that, just stay away from the exterior wall of the structure. That's important. Lowest level, number one. Interior, number two. Stay in there. We'll let you know as we start clearing more counties. We've cleared Louisville. We've cleared Indiana. We have not cleared yet any other counties into Kentucky just yet, but we'll be able to hopefully here soon as they are moving at a fast rate. But let me caution you guys, as we've been talking about several times, this is a heavy rain scenario as well that we are facing here tonight. Flash flooding is going to become a growing concern into the overnight. This is a little different than what normally happens in severe weather episodes when we're with you all, where we wrap this up and we're like, oh, it's coming to an end. They're out of here. This one is a prolonged event. That's why the alert days have been getting so much attention for being extended all the way into Saturday as more rounds of storms will be developing. You can see here, even on Futurecast, how it takes the line. It's moving through Louisville now. You see how it just slowly drags it. Here we are at 4 in the morning, and it still has it basically in the same spot it is now. And that, Kevin, that's going to be our next focal point. We're already in that mode now. We have been, but rain totals, please be careful if you work during the overnight or you have to venture out between now and sunrise. Please be careful because you may not be able to see very well, obviously.
All right, Brian, thanks. We've been tracking these storms. We still are moving across Nelson County, Culvertown, seeing a bulk of the wind pushing through central parts of that polygon, and that's southern Nelson County from Bardstown, Balltown, Culvertown, working your way toward Gethsemane, or if you go down 31E into New Haven. So again, the push of wind moving through. Greenbrier would be next, Holy Cross coming up. When we look at what's happening, I'm getting reports out of in Louisville, the Bluegrass Park area. If you know where that is, it sits just off of Hurstbourne Lane. A lot of the car dealerships located there. And then you work your way over toward Blankenbaker. So that general area has been the hard hit area. We know that. Let me bring in meteorologist Justin Hilliard. He's been chasing these storms. We talked with him earlier in our coverage down near Bowling Green. And Justin, I know you've made your way across eastern Jefferson County. Tell us what you've seen.
So, Kevin, we actually had to shelter in place at our house. The track was directly over our house there in J-Town, but just wind at home. Now, as you make your way out near the Blankenbaker Crossing Apartments, that's at Plantside and Shining Water Drive. That looks like the first main part of the touchdown out here. We've got trees down. The traffic lights have been completely ripped off. There's main power lines across the roadway on Blankenbaker at Plantside. And we've got the fire department currently going into Blankenbaker Crossings for potential rescue of a person in a vehicle that has power lines and a tree on it. So plenty of debris in the roadway out here. Use extreme caution if you have to come in this area, but definitely avoid it. And I'm going to start making my way a little further out towards the Shelbyville Road area from here and try to track in between.
Okay, we appreciate that. We'll check back in with you, Justin. Thanks. Before we go to our storm tracker, I want to take our Bardstown SkyTrack camera and allow me to zoom into our radar. We are watching this storm pass through Nelson County. It is coming down with some very heavy rain and wind. You're looking at a live view from Nelson County. The bulk of this storm is south of Bardstown, but notice the flags whipping in the wind and the very heavy rain falling. Back to the radar view we go, and you can see from the tornado warning that includes the Bardstown area that this storm continues to move through, and as it continues to press off to the east, we're looking at those strong winds moving through at least the southern half of Nelson County. Back to the radar we go, and you can see that pushing through, and that will take it over into Washington County. So that is the push of wind moving through Bardstown as we speak, including the Bluegrass Parkway. Let me zoom in just a bit closer. You see our cameras, Bardstown there, the storm tracker getting ready to show us some of the damage going on in eastern Jefferson County. Let's zoom in just a bit more. We see the heavy rain and wind moving through Bardstown. The worst of that is just about over. Wind gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour there. Looking at the velocity, trying to pinpoint the strongest of the wind, very well maybe over Bardstown as we speak. Seems to have weakened just a bit as we look to the south. I'm going to pull the radar down so we can see some of those winds south of Bardstown. And again, anywhere from Bardstown right down toward the Botland area. This would be a little notch we would be concerned with. That passed through Balltown near Culvertown, pushing toward Botland. So that would be another area to watch. Along that line, that would be a place. So Botland along 150, Botland along as you work your way past Botland, pushing over toward the Booker area would be a place to keep a close eye on. That's the wind down in Nelson County. Back to the home view we go, just to point out what is happening across the entire area. That's the only tornado warning in our viewing area. The others that are coming out now over toward the Cincinnati viewing area and eventually Lexington. So we track this storm to our south. That continues to move through. Frankfort reporting wind speeds of 58 miles per hour. So that's impressive on its own. And that continues to move past. There's Frankfort. You can see that tornado warning is now past those folks. Brian, we're watching this even to the south. It looks like we're going to see this storm weaken just a bit, but by that time it's pushing out of our viewing area anyway. The tornado warning continues until 1:30 for parts of Nelson County as well as Washington County as this moves to the east, correct?
Yeah, exactly. We got two different things. We got the strong push of straight line wind, and you got a little bit of rotation there trying to form on the southern side of Nelson Bardstown. All of this is heading on the southern part of Bloomfield, so right there in northern Washington and the far northeast corner of Nelson. That's a spot to watch before it moves out of our viewing area, but we're almost there. It's moving at 70 miles per hour. There's nothing right now that indicates there's a big problem here, but certainly by watching the camera feed, we can tell the wind got quite strong there into Bardstown. So be prepared for the lights to flicker a bit, and we'll keep an eye and make sure that we don't see anything spin up a little more aggressively than what the little hints have been so far. But it looks like right now it's just below the threshold of anything on the tornado side. It looks like a really strong push of wind, though, for sure. Straight line winds wouldn't surprise me. That's been the average here is 55 to maybe 64 miles per hour, maybe within that range there, it looks like, Evan.
Some folks curious, when am I going to be able to go to bed? Just keep in mind, once this tornado warning passes through and the severe weather risk ends, we're still going to be dealing with some heavy rain overnight. So it will take a little more time to pass through. Some areas, let me go back to our radar view, and we'll give the all clear for some if we can. I'll go to the home view. We're looking at in the clear across most of our southern Indiana counties at this point. But if you are south of the river, you are not in the clear. So that's where we are at this point. Again, we're going to continue to see this rain tilt. That band tilts. We get very heavy rain setting up across the area. So we'll be here keeping an eye on that. Let's go to Ryan Hoke, who has more damage reports. He's been working to get those in.
Yeah, I've been efforting this on social media and, of course, from you folks on the Wave Weather app. And we've got a photo here of some porch damage here, J-Town, Saratoga Woods. This would be kind of on the very southern end of where potentially a tornado touched down. Another area that potentially saw tornado damage tonight near Scottsburg, Indiana. We've got a tree down on a vehicle there. It looks like either a small car or a sedan. And, of course, the power outage numbers are starting to get very impressive in southern Indiana. You see there, like Floyd County, for instance, they have 28.3% still without power there. It's about 13,000 customers. Hello, Clark County, Indiana, almost 10% without power there. That's 6,900 customers. Here in the Louisville metro area, that's Jefferson County, about 6,200 without power. If indeed we did get a tornado in eastern Jefferson County, I would likely venture to say that those numbers will go up. And then, of course, Spencer County as well, also seeing about 1,000 without power. That's 1,300 folks without power down that way. So this is lighting up like a Christmas tree because this was sort of an equal opportunity storm event. So many folks saw this push of damaging winds, and a few of us may have seen tornadoes. We've had at least two areas of debris on radar tonight, guys, and that's rare to see around here.
Getting reports in, fire department's going to be setting up a command post at the Federal Credit Building on Plant Side and Blankenbaker, so an indicator that we still have ongoing issues out there, especially usually if that hits residential places. You might see something like that happen, so that's an indicator of what could be happening in eastern Jefferson County. So I think this is just the beginning of understanding the scope of the damage that may be unfolding across eastern parts of Jefferson County. Our storm tracker is in eastern Jefferson County. We just talked to meteorologist Justin Hilliard.
They want us to take our shot if they can. The storm tracker, they say they're showing damage.
Yeah, that's why I want to take the shot. Okay. And there you see, and let's bring in Fernando Garcia Franceschini. I cannot tell by looking at that what we see. Maybe you could give us a little, tell us what you're seeing.
It's debris everywhere. It's scattered over the place. Trees are knocked over. Apparently the officer told.
I mean, guys, so this is, sorry. So this is in Jefferson Town, Campus Place. So this is like a very industrial area with businesses and a lot of office space. And I mean, if you drive around here, you're going to find debris and damage in every single corner. Like right now, what you're looking at are trees that have kind of like been blown off. There's debris like hanging from the trees. You can even see a little bit of that right there. You can see police kind of like surveying the area. We were told that there was like a camper or like a trailer that was flipped upside down somewhere a little bit further down. Of course, with all the debris on the ground, it is a little bit hard for us to drive around, but there's also a lot of roof damage on the buildings in this area. It is extensive damage, and we had heard that this area had been impacted by tonight's storms. And I mean, it's so easy to find the debris in every single corner. Take a look at the scene right now with trees blown off, debris on the ground. Let's see if we can see a little bit of the roof damage on this building. This is to our left. Again, this is Campus Place in J-Town. And all of the buildings in this area look like that, with roof damage, debris hanging all around, the parking lots filled with debris, with trees, with branches. Look at that. And again, it's a little bit hard for us to maneuver around the area because there is so much debris on the ground, and there is police kind of like surveying the area, trying to make sure that people are being safe, people that are here right now. But this is just kind of like a little bit of a taste as to what the damage looks like right here, again, on Campus Place in Jeffersontown. A lot of tree damage, roof damage. And again, this is, from our understanding, it's a very kind of like business, office space area. It's not residential, but again, yeah, the debris is in every single corner, guys.
All right, Fernando, we appreciate that. We're going to kind of stay with you while we look at that damage, continuing to track these storms through the area. You can watch the storm tracker behind me, but let me also give an update for folks that may be watching in the tornado warning across northeastern parts of Nelson County as this moves into Washington. This storm is weakening just a bit, but still not a lot, which means we still have some strong winds moving with that storm. It's past Bardstown, but it's right along the Bluegrass Parkway. It extends even up into southern parts of Spencer County, Taylorsville, heavy wind. That's going to be the case not too far from the Bloomfield area. Let me zoom in even more so you can see along that Boeing segment of what may be ongoing with this push of wind past Bloomfield at this point. Next would be Sparrow, moving toward Bush Grove and Van Buren. This is going to take it off to the east, pushing it out of Nelson County eventually. But Bloomfield could have just been blasted with some heavy wind on that. This goes all the way to the south, and as we continue to track that to the south, you can see more pockets of heavy wind moving into western Washington County near Maud and Hardesty and Valley Hill. So we are keeping an eye on that wind. I also, while we're looking at this, want to bring in Fernando again, just to see what you're looking at, because we can also see some of the fire and rescue folks around you, Fernando. So can you give us another idea?
Yeah.
I want to keep the radar on the screen while we talk to Fernando, however you want to do that. But with the current tornado warning, let's see if we can do both. Go ahead, Fernando.
Yeah, Kevin. I mean, this seems to be kind of like some sort of like a warehouse. And I mean, the damage, like, take a look at it right now. It's all over the ground. It's roof damage, parts of the roof on the ground. And it is kind of insane to look like this building is to our left right now. And it looks like this with all sorts of damage. And then the building to our right, from our perspective, looks to be perfectly fine. And that just gives you a sense. Yeah, take a look at the building on the right. There doesn't seem to be any debris anywhere. The cars are in perfect shape. And again, that doesn't mean that there's no damage, but from our view, there seems to be very little damage to our right side. So it definitely feels like this area to our left was what was impacted the most by tonight's storms. Like, take a look at this.
All right, Fernando, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we've got to keep the radar up on the screen because we still have the ongoing tornado warning, and it's still showing some signs of pushing through. So we can keep the boxes up and still talk to Fernando, but the radar has to stay because we are tracking this toward the Sparrow community, moving through Bush Grove. Brush Grove, this is a very intense line of wind. And Brian, I see you've got your eyes on that as well, moving right across the Bluegrass Parkway.
Yeah, it's moving rapidly, easily over that 70, 75 miles per hour speed right now, but it's almost out of Nelson County entirely. Only got, I would say, another 5 minutes, and it'll be out of Nelson. But as far as northeast areas of Washington County, Kentucky, including Willisburg, that's going to take just a bit longer to get that to pass through. So far, it still looks like a straight line wind scenario. In fact, a new severe thunderstorm warning, I think, may have come out. Let me check.
Yeah, that's going to be for Anderson,
the
Franklin.
same one, right?
Yeah, Shelby. It's going to be the extension of the storm we're watching. You're right. and that will stay in place until 2 a.m.
Well, that's a good sign to see that at least it's a severe thunderstorm, not a tornado warning, but still some very strong straight line winds. As we've been seeing on all of our cameras, that push of wind is quite fierce. And this is going to be ongoing, I think, in a repeated fashion tonight in our southern counties, all the way through about 6 or 7 a.m. We could still get some strong pushes of wind. So this is a very odd setup on how slow it's going to be from here on out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The northern edge really raced by. The southern edge is going to take a lot more time, being in that more elongated fashion. Not until 2 o'clock will that warning expire. Still the tornado possible, but the wind speed's down just a bit on this as opposed to that 70-mile-per-hour tag that have been on so many of them. So we come out of the tornado warning into a severe thunderstorm warning. That tornado warning has 1 more minute on it before it expires, and then the severe thunderstorm warning will take over. Once that happens, all of the tornado warnings will have expired across our area. We will continue for a while longer with our complete overview of what has happened as we really work to understand the magnitude of what has hit eastern Jefferson County. You've seen Fernando showing a bunch of the damage on eastern Jefferson County's side, and that's going to be not too far from Plantside Drive over toward a number of those areas between, say, Hurstbourne and Blankenbaker, where we have large contingents of large buildings, some of those with their roofs ripped off, and you can see that. The tornado warning has ended. Let me go back to our home view here, and as we go to the home view, you're going to notice no tornado warnings within our viewing area. So that is some good news. Let me put back on. And now we're sort of getting more into the breaking news scenario of what has happened. So I'll ask Ryan to prepare some viewer images. We're going to check in with all of the reporters that we have available. If we have Justin Hilliard on the phone, we can tap into him. We also need to get in touch with the Jefferson County folks just to see where we are in this. I suppose they're setting up command where we'll be able to see what happens.